What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 6 milliliters. Chapter 121. Become 10 Tails Jinchuriki. Please subscribe. Although Sasuke said that he had cut off everything, as soon as there was news about Naruto, he would become a little irrational and competitive. After the eyes were transplanted, as the eyes gradually matched with his, he could also feel that the chakra in his body was constantly filling. Under the premise that his strength had greatly increased, Sasuke couldn't wait to know who was stronger between him and Naruto. Uchiha Xiao said directly, "No, your current strength is far inferior to him." Like a bucket of cold water poured down from the head, Sasuke's heart trembled. "What did you say?" Then, Uchiha Xiao continued, "Uzumaki Naruto's strength is even comparable to mine. He is really a troublesome existence." Sasuke couldn't believe it when he heard that, and then said, "That guy. How on earth did he become so powerful in such a short period of time?" He had heard Uchiha Xiao say before that, Naruto can't be hurt. He thought Naruto was just becoming more durable, but he didn't expect that his strength had grown to be on par with Uchiha Xiao. 21 Tsunade was also surprised. He thought Uchiha Xiao said Naruto obtaining the power of 6 paths is just a name for a secret technique. Now it seems that if he can compete with Uchiha Xiao, it may really be the power of Sage of 6 paths. Sasuke gritted his teeth and said, "That guy also got your eyes." Uchiha Xiao shook his head. "It is a higher level existence than these eyes, the Sage of 6 paths, personally awarded the Emperor of Power." Sasuke was in a daze after hearing this. He really couldn't accept it. Not long ago, he thought Naruto was the tail end of the crane, but now he has become so much stronger. Uchiha Xiao continued, "The power of 6 paths is beyond the power of everything. It is really enviable." Sasuke lowered his head, wondering what he was thinking. Uchiha Xiao seems to be complaining, but in fact he is secretly mobilizing Sasuke's heart. He knows that as the reincarnations of Indra and Ashura, the two people will definitely attract and fight each other in this life. Uchiha Xiao wants to use this to mobilize Sasuke's desire to become stronger. In this case, Sasuke will willingly become 10 Tails Jinchuriki in order to become stronger. Sure enough, as Uchiha Xiao expected, the fish took the bait. Sasuke asked Uchiha Xiao eagerly, "Xiao, tell me, how can I obtain the power of 6 paths?" The corners of Uchiha Xiao's mouth curved slightly. "Become 10 Tails Jinchuriki." Hearing Uchiha Xiao say this, Sasuke was shocked. He heard Uchiha Xiao say this before, and thought it was just a joke, but he didn't expect that Uchiha Xiao really wanted to consider it like this. Sasuke asked, 10 tails, I thought you were joking. Does such a thing really exist?" Uchiha Xiao crossed his arms and said calmly, 10 tails is the original form formed by the fusion of the 9-tailed beasts. Sasuke asked, "You mean, 10 tails, the product of the fusion of the 9-tailed beasts?" Uchiha Xiao said, "Yes and no." Sasuke frowned, not understanding what Uchiha Xiao meant. Uchiha Xiao continued to popularize science. 10 tails is the ancestor of chakra and the source of creation of all things. So you should say that it is the power of 10 tails that is divided into the 9-tailed beasts, rather than the 9-tailed beasts that merge into Tao. Sasuke wondered. Then, why did 10 tails separate into the 9-tailed beasts? Uchiha Xiao replied. Because the power of 10 tails is so strong, it can cause the destruction of a big country with just a few moves. Because of this, before Sage of 6 Paths died, he was afraid that no one in the world could suppress it. Stay at 10 tails. Then 10 tails was divided into 9-tailed beasts, and the 9-tailed beasts were given intelligence so that they could get along well with people. Sasuke gradually became enchanted as he listened to Uchiha Xiao's words, causing the destruction of a great country. This kind of power made Sasuke energetic, and the destruction of Konoha was just around the corner. Tsunade also listened to Uchiha Xiao's words with great interest. Even if Tsunade had more resentment towards Uchiha Xiao, it could not hide that Uchiha Xiao was indeed a knowledgeable person. From Uchiha Xiao's mouth, Tsunade learned many old secrets of the ninja world. Sasuke quickly started to imagining that after becoming 10 Tails Jinchuriki, killing everyone and destroying the entire Konoha shinobi village, Sasuke couldn't help but smile. He immediately said to Uchiha Xiao, "Now we have obtained 1 tail, 2 tails, 3 tails, 4 tails, 5 tails, 6 tails, 9 tails, that is, as long as we catch the remaining 7 tails and 8 tails, you can synthesize 10 tails." Uchiha Xiao said calmly. "To be precise, it should be 7 tails, 8 tails, and the other half of 9 tails. What we got is only half of 9 tails, and the other half is still with Naruto." Uchiha Xiao said repeatedly. "As long as you become 10 tails Jinchuriki, then you will gain strength that is far superior to Naruto." Sure enough, Sasuke clenched his fists, his breathing became thicker, he was very excited, and he wished he could become 10 tails Jinchuriki in the next second. Tsunade on the side looked at this scene that looked like a pyramid scheme and said nothing. Sasuke's mind was already going to his head with power and hatred, but Tsunade was not. Tsunade looked at Uchiha Xiao who showed a strange smile. Since Uchiha Xiao said that Naruto's strength is equal to his, then if Sasuke's strength is superior to Naruto, it also means that his strength is superior to Uchiha Xiao's. Would a person like Uchiha Xiao allow someone's strength to step on his head? Tsunade was very suspicious that 120 Uchiha Xiao had dug a trap and was just waiting for Sasuke to jump. However, what does this have to do with Tsunade and me? Tsunade did not tell Sasuke what he had inferred. Now, Tsunade just wants Uchiha Xiao to fulfill her promise and resurrect Naoki and Suan. She doesn't want to think about anything else. Tsunade picked up the wine glass filled with sake. Since she had nothing to do, she drank wine every day to relieve her sorrows, as if this could wash away the guilt in her heart. But then Uchiha Xiao changed the subject. It's just that becoming 10 tails Jinchuriki will have a fatal weakness. Sasuke's head tilted slightly and he seemed to wake up a little. What's the matter? Uchiha Xiao said. Since you have become a Jinchuriki, you will also have the weaknesses of the Jinchuriki. As long as the tailed beast in your body is extracted, you will die immediately. Sasuke gave a disdainful smile. I have already gained more power than Sage of Six Paths, and I am still afraid of this kind of weakness. His tone was so arrogant that those who didn't know thought he was now 10 tails Jinchuriki. Woolen cloth. Uchiha Xiao patted Sasuke on the shoulder and said, then let's just say this, you just look forward to surpassing the power emperor of Sage of Six Paths. Sasuke showed a cruel smile. He was looking forward to the moment when he defeated Naruto and destroyed the village. He didn't know what Naruto's expression would be like then. Chapter 122, Orochimaru is resurrected. Please subscribe. Are you done talking? Uchiha Xiao, promised me when will it be fulfilled? Tsunade woke up from her drunken state and asked with a frown on her face, her cheeks still slightly red. Uchiha Xiao said, when everything is over, I will naturally resurrect your relatives. Tsunade bit her red lips and raised her eyebrows. She was about to say something, but Uchiha Xiao's words made her swallow them down. I haven't even resurrected Reina, what are you anxious about? Uchiha Xiao said with an indifferent expression. Tsunade didn't speak. From the few words they spent together for many days, she knew that Uchiha Xiao's sister, Uchiha Rina, was the softest one in Uchiha Xiao's heart. Tsunade continued to pour wine and get drunk alone. She didn't know whether Uchiha Xiao was delaying it intentionally, but there was no turning back for her. After Uchiha Xiao's eyes turned into the legendary Rinnegan, Tsunade knew that she had become a sinner in the ninja world, the kind who would never be able to stand up again. Uchiha Xiao then looked at Sasuke. It just so happens that in 3 days the 5-cage conference of the 5 great ninja villages will be held. Then you can go and test the new abilities of your eyes. Sasuke showed a confident expression. Okay. He was already imagining the scene of the 5 shadows meeting in his brain. Uchiha Xiao turned his attention to Tsunade again, and he said to Tsunade, you go too. Although Sasuke couldn't see it, he also smelled the aroma of wine. This drunk woman. Uchiha Xiao said. Don't underestimate Tsunade. Even if you activate the eternal Mangekyō, you may not be able to defeat her. Sasuke was a little surprised. Although he knew that Tsunade was not weak, he did not expect Uchiha Xiao to give such an evaluation. Tsunade heard Uchiha Xiao's words and looked at Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao continued. After all, if I hadn't gone to find her at that time, she would have become 5th Hokage. Tsunade's heart trembled slightly, and she looked at Uchiha Xiao in disbelief. At that time, after Tsunade heard Naruto's ambitious words, she was no longer so resistant to succeeding Hokage. But no matter what, this was just what she had in mind. How did Uchiha Lien know? After hearing Uchiha Xiao's comment, Sasuke immediately said to Tsunade, hey. Woman, after my eyes can be used, fight with me first. Tsunade said angrily. No beating. I can't be interested in this brat who doesn't have all his hair. Sasuke immediately gritted his teeth. What did you say? Seeing the two arguing, Uchiha Xiao continued to say to Tsunade, why don't you go? Tsunade said angrily. I can't be the enemy of the ninja world. My ancestors created this ninja world, but his descendants want to destroy the ninja world. Are you kidding me? Uchiha Xiao had no expression, he said without anger or joy. You actually know it in your heart, the moment my Rinnegan is turned on. You are already destroying your grandfather's inheritance with your own hands and have become a sinner in the ninja world. Tsunade opened her mouth wide and the pupils of her eyes trembled slightly. Uchiha Xiao's words made her speechless for a long time. Uchiha Xiao increased his intensity and continued, we are on the same boat now. Either you jump into the sea and commit suicide, or you ride the wind and waves. My boat has no option to return. Tsunade immediately collapsed to the ground. In fact, she had already known about her reputation outside. When she was fine before, she would ask Katsuyu to help her collect intelligence from the outside world. The outside world had a lot of negative comments about Tsunade. A sinner in the ninja world, a disgrace to the Senju clan, sullied the bloodline of her grandfather. These comments were nothing, but the most important thing was that she heard a piece of information about Konoha. Jiraiya, one of the Sannin, said that he would not care about his old relationship and would kill even Tsunade with his own hands if he endangered the village. She can never go back. Tsunade has actually known this for a long time, but she has been unwilling to accept it. Today, after Uchiha Xiao made it clear, Tsunade finally recognized the reality. 0. She, Tsunade, has truly become a loner. Finally, under Uchiha Xiao's gaze, Tsunade nodded, promising to support Sasuke in 3 days. At this time, on the other side, Obito has abandoned the stronghold of the country of rain, and instead went to a deserted place to serve as a stronghold. Anyway, he has Kamui, and the less crowded place makes it easier for him to carry out operations. Obito looked at the new environment around him and said, "There is no one around, come out." I saw a white Zetsu coming out of the darkness. White Zetsu came to Obito's side and stepped out slightly. "How about it, Ren?" Obito continued. "It's very bad. Nagato is dead, the immortal duo are also dead, and one of Madara's eyes was taken away by Uchiha Xiao." White Zetsu still smiled as always. "Really, that's really not good." Obito looked at White Zetsu, and the Scarlet Sharingan revealed a murderous intent. "Tell me, Zetsu, where is Madara's other Rinnegan?" However, this murderous intention could not affect White Zetsu. White Zetsu said, "I really don't know this. The Black Zetsu guy has been hiding the location of Rinnegan, and the guy has disappeared. Complete contact. Not available." Obito said solemnly. "That guy actually came to Uchiha Xiao alone, I don't know what he was thinking." White Zetsu was also confused at this time. "What should we do now? What should we do?" Obito looked up at the white clouds in the sky, and spoke in a rare tone of loneliness. "Project Tsuki no Mi is a complete failure. Without the tailed beast, Infinite Tsukuyomi cannot be activated, and without the Rinnegan, Uchiha Madara cannot be resurrected." Obito murmured. "It failed, everything failed Lin, what should I do?" On the contrary, White Zetsu said very happily, "That's not bad. I'm free too. In that case, let's taste the taste of poop. I haven't tasted it yet." Number 1. In this weird atmosphere, a white snake slowly crawled over from the ground. "Wow, it's a snake. Good Jiao Jiao, by the way, do snakes poop?" White Zetsu pointed at the white snake with his finger and asked in surprise. Obito was completely despairing at this moment, and turned his gaze towards White Zetsu's yelling. However, just by looking at him, Obito's pupils shrank immediately. "You are." Obito made a surprised sound. I saw that the white snake suddenly enlarged its mouth, and then its belly seemed to squirm, as if something was about to crawl out of the snake's mouth. Plop. First a slimy, pale arm appeared from the snake's mouth, and then a man with long hair climbed out of the snake's mouth. This person was covered in mucus and looked particularly disgusting. The pale man stood up and faced White Zetsu and Obito. Orochimaru. The two couldn't help but scream. Although Orochimaru was naked, he seemed not ashamed. He wiped his hair with a trace of calmness and elegance on his face. "Hello, Madara, or rather, Uchiha Obito." Chapter 123, Kage and Madara. Please subscribe. Obito broke away from his surprise, and his voice returned to its previous low tone. "Orochimaru, how did you survive?" At this time, several white snakes suddenly appeared with clothes in their mouths, and then they started to change Orochimaru's clothes very skillfully. White Zetsu looked at this scene with a little fear. Orochimaru opened his arms and matched the clothes of the white snakes while saying, "As long as there is a little chakra and cells left, no matter how many times I die, I will be resurrected." White Zetsu immediately said, "Then you are already immortal." Orochimaru nodded and said, "I have achieved true immortality." White Zetsu suddenly shouted carelessly, "What a coincidence. I am immortal too. Orochimaru, let's be friends." Hearing what White Zetsu said, Orochimaru was also slightly shocked. There are actually other people in the ninja world who are immortal. Orochimaru looked up and down White Zetsu's body while washing his face with his tongue. Orochimaru smiled and laughed hoarsely. "What's your name? Are you interested in cooperating with my experiment?" White Zetsu was already staring at Orochimaru so hard that when he heard Orochimaru say this, he immediately hid behind Obito. "You, don't come here. Obito, I don't want to be experimented by this weird man." Obito. However, White Zetsu has always been 047 unafraid, but he didn't expect that he would show fear when encountering a pervert like Orochimaru. After the farce, Obito couldn't help but look at Orochimaru in surprise. How many strong men and powerful men have pursued the topic of immortality since ancient times, but Orochimaru has achieved it. Obito lifted the mask on his face to cover up his inner surprise. "Orochimaru, what are you looking for me for?" Orochimaru smiled and said, "Of course I'm here to seek cooperation, Obito-kun. Do you want to cooperate with me? Then let me refuse." Obito refused without hesitation. With how weird Orochimaru is, who knows what will happen if they cooperate. He knew why Orochimaru rebelled against the village. He was kicked out of Konoha because he used ninjas and civilians in the village for human experiments. Coupled with Orochimaru's immortality, Obito has decided that Orochimaru is a dangerous person. However, Orochimaru seemed to see the worry in Obito's heart, and he said, "Don't you listen to my conditions. My requirements are not many, I just need Uchiha Xiao's body for experiments." When Obito heard this, he immediately felt that this CBEG deal was indeed a good one. Uchiha Xiao's body is dispensable to Obito. Since Orochimaru wants something he doesn't need, Obito naturally agrees happily. At this time, Obito asked Orochimaru again, then what can you come up with? I don't need general support, and I can't help. If Orochimaru creates half-baked ninjas like the Sound Ninja Village again, then Obito will definitely turn around and leave. In front of Uchiha Xiao, all tricks and skills are in vain. He will crush the enemy with terrifying power. Orochimaru said with a smile. Average. If they are considered average, then no one in the entire ninja world can help you. Listening to Orochimaru's words, Obito had some doubts. He didn't understand what Orochimaru's words meant. Did Orochimaru control the shadows of other villages? Orochimaru always showed that evil smile. He bit his finger and smeared the blood on his palm. Summoning technique. Under Obito's surprised gaze, 4 coffins rose from the ground, and the heavy coffin boards fell to the ground one after another. This is it. Obito's exposed eye suddenly opened. First Hokage, second Hokage, Dame Hokage, fourth Hokage. When his eyes moved to the 4th generation, they quickly passed by. Although Obito had always thought that he had a clear conscience before, when he saw the body of the 4th Hokage, his eyes still subconsciously skipped the 4th generation. Orochimaru had a panoramic view of all this, and the smile on his lips gradually grew bigger, as if he had discovered some secret. Obito walked towards the last coffin and saw that the coffin board of this coffin had not fallen. Obito asked, "Who is this?" Orochimaru smiled and said nothing. At this moment, the coffin board suddenly fell. Uchiha Madara, wearing red armor, appeared in front of Obito, and in an instant, a powerful pressure emanated from him. But Obito just frowned, not to mention that he had lived with the aging Madara before, and he had experienced even greater pressure. Uchiha Xiao's figure appeared in Obito's heart. "Is this your handiwork, Yin Snake?" Dai was surprised by the power of Orochimaru's ninjutsu. Orochimaru said with a somewhat proud tone, "That's right. I think all the cage members can help you." Obito nodded slightly. Although they have good strength, their enemy is Uchiha Xiao. Moreover, I remember that the strength of the people who came out of Impure World Reincarnation is far less than what they were in life, right? Obito has seen Uchiha Xiao before the dirt and Uchiha Xiao after the resurrection. The huge change in strength between the two made Obito have a doubt about Orochimaru's Impure World Reincarnation. Orochimaru nodded. That's true, but this is because the quality of the sacrifice used for the technique was not good, and I was not that skilled in this technique at the time. Obito asked doubtfully. The quality of the sacrifice. Orochimaru explained. Yes, Impure World Reincarnation needs to use living people. The last time I invaded Konoha, I only used a few children from the Sound Ninja Village under my command. Their physical fitness and mental strength were not very good, so I could only use them. Impure World Reincarnation taps into the power of 1/5 of the time before birth. Obito looked at Orochimaru. So, you found a good sacrifice this time. Orochimaru paused and continued. As long as the 1st generation cells are used as containers, the strength of the people born from the dirty soil will be very close to that of the original people. After speaking, Orochimaru stared at Obito. Orochimaru has already hinted clearly that he needs the 1st generation cells in your hand. Obito can see that Orochimaru is not lying, and he happens to have a lot of 1st generation cells in stock, and White Zetsu is the product of 1st generation cells. After pondering for a while, Obito finally decided to agree to Orochimaru's request. It's a pleasure to cooperate. Orochimaru's eyes stared at White Zetsu, and White Zetsu was immediately surprised. Obito wears a mask so that no one can tell what he is thinking. Time soon came 3 days later, and the 5 shadows gathered in the Kingdom of Iron. The Kingdom of Iron is the only country of samurai in the entire ninja world. Because of its uniqueness and neutrality, in the previous ninja wars, everyone agreed not to attack the Kingdom of Iron. This has also allowed the Iron Kingdom to have rapid development and a good population, and every time there is a major event in the ninja world, the location of the 5 Cage talks is usually in the Iron Kingdom. Under the leadership of Mifune, the 5 Cage walked into a building, which was the meeting place of the 5 Cage conference. Chapter 124. 5 Shadows Talk. Please subscribe. There is a huge table in the conference room, and there are bamboo hats representing the 5 ninja villages on the table. Kage Gaara sat in his seat, and behind him stood Temari and Konkuro. Although they were young, they were not weak in strength, and wind style and puppetry were both manifestations of the characteristics of Sunagaku ninjutsu. Mizukage Terumi was followed by Ao, who was pregnant with Byakugan, and Mist Shinobi's ninja rookie Chojuro. Tsuchikage Onoki's 2 bodyguards are his 2 disciples, Kuritsuchi and Akatsuchi, and their strength cannot be underestimated. Reikage I, his bodyguards, one is a sentient ninja named Sai, and the other is named Tarui. Tarui is very powerful. He has both the Blood Inheritance Limited Arashi style and the Black Lightning style of 3rd Reikage. At this time, Hokage Kakashi arrived belatedly, and Kakashi was followed by Naruto and Jiraiya. As soon as the 3 people entered the venue, there was a burst of noise. Hey, Naruto, it's you who are coming. I saw Naruto and shouted directly with a loud voice. It's Uncle Black. Naruto greeted I warmly. I laughed loudly and gave out a hearty smile. Tarui and Zai's behind him looked shocked. Someone could actually call I Uncle Black, and I didn't care at all. Although both Tarui and Tarui knew that Naruto had saved Raikage's life, Ai's attitude was still very rare. On the other side, Onoki also greeted Naruto. Naruto, long time no see. Short grandpa. Naruto responded. Onoki laughed heartily. Akato and Kuretsuchi staggered and almost fell. Kuretsuchi muttered in disbelief. Usually grandpa doesn't like people talking about his height, but I didn't expect. Akatsuchi said to Kuretsuchi. After all, I have cured Tsuchikage-sama's back injury for many years. Gaara showed a gentle smile to Naruto. Naruto-kun, here you go. Kankuro and Temari behind him also nodded slightly to Naruto. The whole place suddenly became lively, and the center of their discussion was Uzumaki Naruto, who served as Hokage's bodyguard. The three Kages all had a close friendship with Naruto, but only one. Terumi Mei sat awkwardly in her seat, feeling extremely confused. Why does she feel that Naruto is the Hokage and Kakashi is the bodyguard? And you are too enthusiastic about Naruto. How should I, Mizukage, behave? Kakashi couldn't help scratching his head and smiling bitterly. As a Hokage, he had the lowest sense of existence at the moment. Jiraiya looked at Kakashi's appearance and felt more and more proud of his disciple. However, Terumi Mei is worthy of being a shadow. She quickly put on a smile. Ah, you are Uzumaki Naruto. It's so rumored that it's better to meet him. What a handsome guy. Naruto scratched his head and laughed. Thank you Aunt Mizukage for the compliment. Terumi Mei's face suddenly darkened. Aunt Ching and Chojuro were also shocked, because this newly appointed Hokage has a quirk, that is, she doesn't like others to talk about her age. However, in the end, Terumi Mei endured it, silently thinking, the overall situation is more important, snorted to Naruto and stopped talking. Naruto was confused as to where he had offended Terumi Mei. Jiraiya tapped Naruto's head with his finger. Be a gentleman to me, madam. You have inherited all my advantages, but you have not inherited these 10 points. Seeing that the court was getting more and more chaotic, Mifune stood up in a cold sweat and tried to smooth things over. Master Hokage, please take a seat. Kakashi sat in the position representing the Hokage and breathed a sigh of relief. Naruto's excessive attention made him, a Hokage, feel a lot of pressure. The meeting began soon, and everyone returned to seriousness. Today they were going to discuss the current public enemy of the entire ninja world, Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao's 3-month war declaration made the 5 major countries on pins and needles. In response, Kakashi quickly made a suggestion. I suggest that the 5 major countries form a ninja coalition to fight against the threat of Uchiha Xiao. Gaara nodded, agreeing with Kakashi's issue. The aftermath of Sand Shinobi's previous invasion of Konoha has not yet recovered, and its strength can be said to be the weakest among the 5 major nations. If Uchiha Xiao fights, Sand Shinobi will die the fastest. Forming a ninja coalition will be beneficial to Sand Shinobi. Terumi Mei didn't speak, her eyes wandered between Onoki and I. Mist Shinobi had just been freed from the blood mist and was not much better than Sand Shinobi, so Terumi Mei decided not to wait and see anymore. I said. I don't think it's necessary. After all, Uchiha Xiao is just a person and the threat is not great. Cloud Shinobi is a strong and independent village. Although I has seen how powerful Uchiha Xiao is, he feels that Cloud Shinobi may not be able to defend the village. There are many talents in Cloud Shinobi, and he is not afraid of Uchiha Xiao at all. Kakashi frowned slightly, he didn't expect Ai's attitude. He originally thought that I would agree to the ninja alliance after experiencing a bloody battle and sacrificing his arms, but he didn't expect I to be lucky. Everyone turned their attention to Onoki, who was the most senior and the heavyweight. Onoki said, I am the oldest. Let me boldly say that I have participated in all 3 ninja wars. I know very well that every village has brought great pain to each other. Please give me flowers. Enemies suddenly become teammates around them. Many ninjas must not be able to accept such a thing. When the coalition forces are formed, there will likely be camps roaring, friendly forces defecting, and mutual distrust among everyone. Quote. Onoki relied on his qualifications to calmly lay out the possible consequences. Indeed, the ninja village system has been established for 60 years. There is no blood feud between the villages, but hatred between the country and the family is indispensable. On this basis, Onoki responded with a pessimistic attitude towards the formation of the ninja coalition. Kakashi said, this issue does need to be considered, but I think the current threat is enough to make all ninjas put down their hatred. Uchiha Xiao has captured 1 tail to 6 tails, and half of 9 tails. Also, Uchiha Xiao has activated the legendary Rinnegan. Such strength cannot be underestimated. Everyone should also know the situation Konoha has suffered. If they don't form a coalition, they will only be defeated one by Uchiha Xiao. Quote. At this time, Naruto stood up and shouted, everyone. Uchiha Xiao is very strong. If the ninjas cannot let go of their past conflicts and the ninjas cannot work together, the consequences will be disastrous. Even Grandpa Six Paths said that Uchiha Xiao's the strength cannot be underestimated. Logically speaking, Naruto as a bodyguard cannot speak, but everyone knows about his strength and the power of 6 paths, which invisibly increases Naruto's weight in this meeting. Moreover, Grandpa Yindao, Onoki and I looked at each other. If Sage of Six Paths really said this to Naruto, then they really have to reconsider the plan of a genin alliance. But just saying that wouldn't work. Mifune took out a file bag, which contained several photos, which were taken in Konoha not long ago. Photos of these were passed to Mizukage's desk, because Mizukage was the only one who had not seen the situation that day with his own eyes. 2 huge meteorites, half of Konoha in ruins, thousands of meters high, true several thousand hands, thousands of ninja casualties. Terumi Mei looked at the scene of gods and demons dancing in the photo, and there was still a drop of sweat on her forehead. After weighing Mist Shinobi's strength for a while, Terumi Mei raised her hand. I agree that the 5 major ninja villages will form a ninja coalition. Kakashi and Naruto looked happy. Now that Mizukage and Kazekage have agreed, Onoki and I need to reconsider. At this moment, there was a sudden noise from the ceiling of the conference room. Quote exclamation mark quote. With a loud noise, the ceiling collapsed instantly, and rubble smashed down the door towards the shadows on the field. Chapter 125. Invasion of the 5 Shadows Conference. Please subscribe. A thin figure jumped down from the hole, and the smoke gradually dissipated, and his appearance came into view. Uchiha Sasuke. All the cages recognized Sasuke's identity. Sasuke. Naruto's expression suddenly changed. Since Sasuke defected to Konoha, his information and photos have spread throughout the 5 major ninja villages. In addition, Sasuke is still Uchiha Xiao's subordinate, and everyone can't help but be wary. Onoki spoke at this time. Uchiha Sasuke. How dare you attack the 5-cage conference? Do you know this is a felony? However, before Onoki could hold him to account, Naruto took a few steps forward and shouted, Sasuke. Come back to Konoha with me. After not hearing Naruto's roar for many days, Sasuke felt a little dazed for a moment. In those quiet days, the two of them fought with each other and encouraged each other. However, soon, his mind recalled the truth about the 680 genocide that Uchiha Xiao had shown him before. I propose to annihilate the Uchiha clan. Danzo said coldly, his cold and ruthless expression clearly visible in his mind. The past emotions disappeared in an instant. Sasuke looked at Naruto and his face turned into mockery. Go back to the village. Back to the tangerine with the blood of my people flowing from the top to the bottom. Exclamation mark quote. Naruto's face changed. What do you mean? Sasuke closed his eyes and sneered. You are still as stupid as ever, you idiot. After saying that, Sasuke opened his eyes, and blood-red geometric patterns were engraved on the dark pupils. Sasuke's eyes glowed red, and he kept saying, Naruto, do you know? The village that I have always admired and loved is the real culprit that destroyed my Uchiha clan. Do you know this feeling, Naruto? What are you talking about? Looking at Sasuke's appearance, Naruto didn't know what to say. However, when he thought of the tragic situation of the village and the dead Asuma and Might Guy, Naruto's anger rose again. No matter what your reasons are, I only know that you are my companion, Uzumaki Naruto. Even if I break your hands and feet, I will take you back to the village. Naruto showed a serious face, and the beard on his face became more ferocious. A few points. Sasuke shook his head, with the same disdain on his face as before. Fake companion games can't make me stronger. Only with Xiao can I gain real power. Naruto's expression was very painful. He could not imagine that Sasuke had become like this. Gaara looked at Sasuke. He sighed and said to Naruto, Naruto, under the leadership of Uchiha Xiao, he has fallen into the abyss. Gaara's intention was obviously that he no longer had illusions about Sasuke. However, it can be seen from the stubbornness hidden in Naruto's eyes that Naruto has decided to bring Sasuke back to the village. Sasuke looked at Gaara and said contemptuously, it's you. The last battle hasn't ended yet, so I'll use you to try my new abilities. As he said that, Sasuke's aura suddenly rose. Gaara also instantly became alert. Ao opened the seal on his eyes and quickly looked at Sasuke with his Byakugan. Soon, sweat broke out on Qing's forehead. This child has such strong chakra fluctuations. Your chakra volume is even greater than Mizukage-sama. Terumi Mei hugged her chest and didn't know what she was thinking. Susa. Nohu. Boom. A burst of purple light illuminated the conference room, and then a giant skeleton appeared in front of everyone. Then, flesh, and armor appeared one after another, forming a purple giant dozens of meters tall. However, this was not over yet. Sasuke felt that he still had a lot of chakra left, and he released the chakra without hesitation. Fourth form. Susanoo continued to grow taller, grew legs, and appeared in the purple light in a leap. Kakashi looked at the superior Sasuke and blamed himself for his inadequacy as a teacher. The cages present have all seen Uchiha Xiao's Susanoo, so they are not surprised by Sasuke's Susanoo. Instead, they are glad that Sasuke's strength has not reached the level of Uchiha Xiao's terrifying level. Terumi Mei took 2 steps forward, stretched out her waist, and said to Sasuke in a rather charming manner, young handsome boy, with your strength, do you dare to make a mistake in the 5 Shadows Conference? At least you have to be Uchiha Renshin. Sasuke felt the majestic power, and the joy in his heart almost reached ultimate. He showed an arrogant expression and said, I have surpassed the 5 shadows. What an arrogant brat. Terumi Mei frowned and said. You must be confused too, Hokage-sama. Onoki came to Kakashi's side and said. Although Kakashi felt complicated, he also noticed something was wrong. Yes, Sasuke's actions must have been assigned by Uchiha Xiao. Then, why did Uchiha Xiao send Sasuke to the Five Shadows conference to cause a scene? None of the cage here are stupid, Kakashi's doubts have already appeared in their hearts. But there is nothing to be done if there is no doubt. No one knows anything about Uchiha Xiao's whereabouts or plans. They only know that Uchiha Xiao will start a war in 3 months. At this moment, a sound like thunder suddenly exploded. Stop being so arrogant, Uchiha brat. Everyone looked over and saw that Ai's lightning-style armor had appeared all over his body and he was shouting at Sasuke. Whoosh. Ai's speed is actually very good. It was not obvious before in front of the more powerful Uchiha Xiao, but now facing Sasuke, Ai's speed came into full play. Sasuke didn't even react, Ai's figure had already arrived behind Sasuke. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Sasuke turned his head quickly, with a look of surprise in his eyes. Lateral bolt of pain. Ai swung a hand knife and hit Susanna hard on the body. Bang. Susan shook for a moment and took 2 steps back. At this time, Sasuke's Susanoo began to gradually become shorter, and the aura of the Susanoo also gradually weakened, and Sasuke's Susan returned to the second form. Ai said proudly. What? You can't hold it anymore so soon. However, Sasuke just looked at Ai with mocking eyes. I don't need to use that form to deal with you. In fact, Sasuke didn't say it out loud. Maintaining Susan's 4th form consumed too much chakra, so Sasuke downgraded Susan's form by 2 levels. When I heard Sasuke's arrogant words, he suddenly became furious. Just when he was about to take action at 0.8, a strong sense of crisis suddenly hit him, and I subconsciously left his original position. Amaterasu. A black flame appeared in the sky and burned where I was just now. What? Sasuke was a little surprised, actually sensing his attack in advance. This is. I recognized this flame. Uchiha Itachi, who fought alongside him at the time, had such an ability. Sasuke didn't stop. A large amount of chakra drained from his body, and the fire of Amaterasu kept leaping. However, Ai's speed was too fast, and Amaterasu could only chase Ai's tail but failed to reach Ai's 10 points. Onoki, Jiraiya and Kakashi all recognized the Amaterasu flame. Kakashi said. This is Itachi's ability. Has Sasuke transplanted Itachi's eyes? If this is the case, then things are not good. Chapter 126. The Fateful Battle. Please subscribe. Black flames burned and spread in the conference room. Terumi Mei listened seriously to the discussion of the other movie actors. The eternal flame is enough. Just when Terumi Mei was thinking, suddenly, an arrow with purple light shot over quickly. What? Terumi Mei was shocked. She didn't expect Sasuke to shoot her an arrow unexpectedly during the battle. The speed of the arrow is too fast, and Ching and Chojuro, as bodyguards, cannot. At this moment, a whirlwind appeared in front of Terumi Mei. Boom. A powerful blow was suddenly knocked away. The bow and arrow were kicked away, and the turbulent wind even blew Terumi Mei's hair away. Naruto. Terumi Mei was surprised when she saw Naruto standing in front of Terumi Mei. Just now, it was him who kicked away Susan's bow and arrow. Naruto. Sasuke was instantly dissatisfied. After finally pretending, he was slapped in the face by Naruto, whom he had always regarded as his old enemy. Are you okay, Aunt Mizukage? Naruto turned around and showed a sunny smile. However, this time, Terumi Mei did not get angry again, but nodded and said, It's okay, thank you, Naruto. Naruto smiled brightly, then flashed and stood in front of the shadows. Naruto said loudly, Everyone, I suspect Uchiha Xiao has another conspiracy, so let me fight Sasuke. Everyone keep the chakra in case Uchiha Xiao suddenly attacks. Hearing Naruto's words, all the cage looked at each other. It was naturally good not to take action, and what Naruto said was right. Sasuke made a big fuss in the 5 cage talks must have been instigated by Uchiha Xiao. Then Uchiha Xiao must have a purpose for instigating like this, but what is Uchiha Xiao's purpose? Why hasn't he appeared yet? With such doubts in mind, the 5 shadows could not act rashly. Everyone used up all the chakra to defeat Sasuke, and then Uchiha Xiao came out to easily collect heads. This scene was not what they wanted to see. Naruto slowly walked to the opposite side of Sasuke. He looked at Sasuke and said slowly, Sasuke, come on, let me defeat you and take you back to the village. When Sasuke heard Naruto's unquestionable tone, he felt a surge of anger. You guy, don't understand anything and just talk nonsense like this. Naruto didn't speak anymore, but the firm look in his eyes still revealed Naruto's unchanging will. Sasuke looked at Naruto's stubborn eyes, and he understood that just talking could not persuade Naruto. He knew that once Naruto decided on something, none of the 10-tailed beasts could pull him back. I heard Sasuke sigh, and then said, I don't hope you will understand, so I will destroy your village and let you feel the pain I have suffered. 1. Really? Naruto's eyes widened, and 2 orange eye shadows appeared around his eyes. In an instant, his aura became more powerful. The two faced each other, their aura gradually rising. Qing's face was very serious, and he said, "Their chakra is too much. I have never seen so much chakra in humans." A group of shadows also felt the rising momentum. They took a few steps back, fearing that the battle would affect them. Naruto and Sasuke looked into each other's eyes, and they both saw a strong fighting spirit in each other's eyes. Almost at the same second, the two people's mouths showed smiles, but soon, dullness climbed onto their faces again. They are destined enemies, and fate makes them fall in love and kill each other. At this moment, after not seeing each other for many days, their fighting spirit reaches its peak. Whoosh! The two figures suddenly disappeared from the place, and then quickly met again. Sasuke. With the power of Frog Kumite mixed with the power of Six Paths, Naruto punched Sasuke unarmed. Naruto. Susanoo stretched out her fist to meet him, her momentum was like a rainbow. Boom. The two fists struck together, and in an instant, the ground cracked, and strong air currents carried the gravel and exploded. Everyone had to cover their hands in front of them and looked at the tomb with slightly squinted eyes. After one move, Naruto's figure remained motionless, while Sasuke took 2 steps back. Damn it! Sasuke gritted his teeth. He didn't expect that Naruto could compete with Susanoo with only his physical body, and even had some advantages. At this time, Naruto took advantage of the victory to pursue. His body moved and turned into a golden stream of light and attacked Sasuke. So fast. Faster than that Raikage. Sasuke was shocked, and Mangekyō began to turn rapidly, looking for Naruto. Ai's eyes suddenly shrank, and he remembered his fight with Namikaze Minato. Up there came a roar, and Sasuke looked up suddenly, only to see Naruto clenching his hands, raising them high, and then slammed them towards Susan like an electric hammer. Boom! Under the huge force, Susanoo's figure couldn't help but lean forward. Sasuke felt that Susan lost control for a moment, and then Susan fell hard to the ground. However, this was not over yet. Naruto turned into a golden flash, and attacks continued to appear on Suzuo's body. Bang! 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 Under such an attack, cracks even appeared on Susan's surface. Everyone was surprised. The last person to split Susanoo open with only his physical body seemed to be Might. With the power of 6 paths and the blessing of Sage Mode, Naruto's speed and strength surpassed everyone on the field. In addition, the second form of Susan's action was quite bloated, which gave Naruto a big advantage over Sasuke. Damn it! Sasuke couldn't bear it anymore, and the Sharingan began to turn rapidly. Soon, the armor and legs appeared on Susanoo's body. Full form. The perfect Susan appeared. Although Sasuke was consuming a lot of chakra, Sasuke showed a sinister smile at this moment. 190 Inferno-style flame control. A sword blade made of black flames suddenly appeared and stabbed straight towards Naruto. Naruto, who originally wanted to beat the drowned dog, quickly retreated. Seeing Naruto retreating, Sasuke thought, and the black fire sword instantly transformed and turned into a bow and arrow. Stretching a bow and shooting an arrow, all movements are done in one go. Black rockets shot out quickly, piercing the sky and shooting Naruto. Naruto! Kakashi screamed, regardless of Hokage's dignity. This arrow is very fast, and coupled with the black flames wrapped in it, it is obviously an extremely dangerous move. Just when the bow and arrow were about to hit Naruto, a spiral shuriken with a harsh roar suddenly appeared in Naruto's hand. Sage Art Wind-style spiral shuriken. Naruto held the spiral shuriken in his hand and directly faced Sasuke's bow and arrow. Boom! A white light flashed, followed by a large explosion. Everything around was reduced to ashes, and a load-bearing pillar was instantly blown up. Soon, a lot of gravel fell from the ceiling, and the wall cracked. This place can't hold anymore. Everyone, please evacuate quickly. Mifune warned as he looked at the collapsing buildings around him. Everyone nodded when they heard this and jumped out of the hole in the ceiling, just as they arrived outside. Chapter 127, Inferno-style flame control. Please subscribe. There was another violent explosion in the building, and the meeting place even collapsed. For a while, sand and rocks were flying, and smoke and dust filled the air. The scale is really quite big. Onoki sighed. Kakashi looked at the collapsed building worriedly. The two people inside were his students, and he didn't want anything to happen to them. Jiraiya patted Kakashi on the shoulder and comforted. Don't worry, trust Naruto. Naruto will bring Sasuke back. Soon, there was another sound of fighting in the smoke. Bang, bang, bang. Naruto had already turned on the Nine Tails mode, and a golden light enveloped Naruto's body, and Naruto also transformed into a giant Nine Tails. The two behemoths fought against each other, and the agitated air flow directly dispersed the surrounding smoke. Roar. Nine Tails roared, opening its mouth wide, and the next second, red chakra balls Sasuke whizzed away. Bang bang bang. The chakra ball hit Susanoo, setting off a burst of fire and smoke. The chakra ball was mixed with natural energy. Sasuke was a little overwhelmed by this series of attacks, and even Susanoo was a little shaken. Seeing this, Naruto naturally did not miss the opportunity to pursue. Up, Kurama! Naruto shouted, and then the golden Nine Tails jumped into the air, and a powerful tail rolled in the air and lashed towards Susanoo. Boom! Under the huge collision, Susanna in the fourth form fell to the ground again. A huge crater suddenly appeared on the ground, and an obvious earthquake was felt within a kilometer radius. The expressions of the onlookers were not very calm, and they all looked at Kakashi indifferently. Although Kakashi's strength is not strong among the five shadows, he is Sasuke and Naruto's teacher. How did Kakashi train these two people into strong men? The Kage were very curious. On the battlefield, although Susanoo blocked most of the attacks, blood also overflowed from Sasuke's mouth. Susan indeed had extremely high defense, but the impact of Nine-Tails' blow was too great, and the strong shock was still transmitted to Sasuke's body. Sasuke's heart is very uneasy. The fourth form of Susanoo is the highest form that Sasuke can currently perform. He originally thought that with this form, he would be able to dominate the world, but he did not expect to be suppressed by Naruto so easily. Watching the huge golden Nine-Tails walking slowly, there was a rumble with every step. Sasuke's eyes were so wide that they almost bled, and he felt huge unwillingness in his heart. No, I don't accept it. I don't accept it just ending like this. Strong unwillingness and anger occupied Sasuke's heart. Why, after experiencing so much suffering and cultivating his strength, he was still overwhelmed by that guy who was laughing and joking. Why? I saw that the light radiating from Susan's body began to become manic, and even seemed to be showing its teeth and claws. Soon, Sasuke discovered that there was some strange movement in his eyes, and what followed was a steady stream of power coming from his eyes. Sasuke's pained expression gradually turned into a smile that was chilling to watch. Naruto! Sasuke roared, and the chakra on his body began to mobilize rapidly. The next second, Susanoo changed. I saw Susanoo's figure gradually rising up. Originally only 40 or 50 meters in height, it reached 100 meters in an instant, and its size also became very huge. Naruto was not to be outdone when he saw this. He said in his heart, "It's up to you, Kurama." Ever since Nine-Tails saw the Sage of Six Paths, they have been very obedient to Naruto. Naruto gave an order, and the golden Nine-Tails instantly rose up, finally stopping at about the same height as Susanoo. Sasuke felt the power of Susanoo. Although he was happy, he also knew that his chakra could not last for long, maybe only 3 minutes, so Sasuke had to fight quickly. Sasuke said coldly, "Let you see the real Susanoo." A huge tachi appeared on Susanoo's waist. Susanoo put his hand on the handle of the sword, and a strong aura instantly spread out. Feeling this momentum, Tsurumi said, "This kind of strength is already beyond the average shadow." The faces of the other Kage also looked ugly. The 100-meter-tall Susanoo was already comparable to Uchiha Xiao. If Sasuke was allowed to grow, he might eventually grow into a dangerous person comparable to Uchiha. Kakashi looked at Sasuke's figure and felt infinite sadness in his heart. Every time Sasuke attacked, it was a step into the abyss. Yan. Susanoo pulled out Susanoo's sword, the purple sword light flashed, and Naruto quickly avoided it. Boom. The next second, the earth cracked, the mountains collapsed, and 2 mountaintops were cut off by Susanoo's sword. The extremely strong force rubbed violently with the air, and even burned out into flames, causing a mountain fire. Tsurumi opened her mouth slightly and widened her eyes. Is this really a ninja battle? She can also cause destruction on this scale, but using it will definitely consume all the chakra in her body. But in the eyes of those two behemoths, it was just a casual punch. The other Kage's expressions were restless. Kakashi looked at the solemn faces of Ai and Onoki and took the opportunity to say, "Tsuchikage-sama, Raikage-sama, what do you think about the Ninja Alliance now?" Ai's face was ugly. Originally, he thought that Uchiha Xiao was the only enemy, so there was no need for Cloud Shinobi to get involved with any ninja coalition. After all, he was confident that their village could stop Uchiha Xiao's attack. But what if there is another Uchiha Sasuke? I imagined that 2 Susanos appeared one after another in the village. That must be the biggest disaster in the decades since Cloud Shinobi established the village. Just when I was entangled, Onoki's voice appeared. Master Hokage's proposal, I think it is good. Onoki had not explicitly opposed the establishment of the ninja coalition, but he had more experience and wanted to be more cautious to avoid possible risks in the future. But now it seems that compared to the threat of joining forces with Uchiha Xiao and Sasuke, the small problems built by the Ninja Alliance are almost negligible. After hearing Onoki's words, I breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, he now agreed to form a ninja coalition, but he was naturally proud and could not lose face. Seeing that Onoki agreed, I had to put on a rather irritated look and said, "Since all 4 of you ninja villages have agreed, we Cloud Shinobi can't object." Kakashi sighed. There was finally some good news today. Facing the full form of Susanoo, Naruto was not afraid at all. He waved his hands and the huge 5 tails also waved its claws. Sasuke was still a little confused at first, but he saw hundreds of figures appearing in the air, flying towards Sasuke at extremely fast speeds. Sasuke murmured, "Shadow clone." Sasuke then discovered that each shadow clone held a high-speed spinning spiral shuriken in its hand. Sasuke's pupils suddenly shrank. What would happen if hundreds of Rasenshuriken with extremely high chakra density hit Susanoo? Sasuke doesn't know, but he knows that the result is definitely not fake. Inferno-style flame control. A large amount of black flames suddenly appeared. Under Sasuke's control, the black flames gathered into the shape of a shield. Sasuke stared at Naruto's body, and squeezed out a sentence from his throat that had been hoarse due to the battle. Naruto, let's see now. Who was the winner? 4. Chapter 128. Successfully captured 7 tails. Please subscribe. Takian Village, which was originally a peaceful village, is now filled with the sounds of battles and the screams of monsters. Roar ah ah ah. A black and red monster looked up to the sky and roared, with 6 tails extending from behind it, and a beetle-like horn on its head. The monster has an extremely dense chakra ball in its mouth, aiming at the man not far away. Sure enough, is there a dividing line between 7 tails and 8 tails? 7 tails' strength is far inferior to 8 tails. Uchiha Xiao faced 7 tails with no worries in his heart. The tailed beast bomb was about to be shot. It seemed trivial to him. Boom. Like a thunderbolt striking down from the sky, the tailed beast bomb caused a shocking noise as soon as it was launched. Facing the tailed beast bomb that was speeding towards him, Uchiha Xiao stretched out his hand. Whoosh. Rinnegan's absorption ability directly absorbed the tailed beast bomb. 7 tails roared, and the 6 tails behind it began to dance continuously, slowly turning into afterimages, and 7 tails' feet began to lift off the ground. Just like a beetle, or rather the essence of 7 tails is a beetle. With a buzzing sound, 7 tails flew into the air above Uchiha Xiao. Spread. A pile of golden dust spit out from its mouth and fell towards Uchiha Xiao. This is 7 tails' special ability, Scale Powder, which can paralyze others and prevent them from moving. 347. Uchiha Xiao stretched out his hand, Shinra Tenseng. The extremely strong impact directly washed away the golden dust, and then he continued to activate his ability. Universal Pull. The extremely strong suction force pulled the huge 7 tails directly downwards. Boom. 7 tails' huge body hit the ground heavily. Looking at 7 tails in front of him, Uchiha Xiao clenched his fist and punched 7 tails' horn fiercely. Boom. The horn of 7 tails was not broken, but it still moved to one side under the divine power. 7 tails was in great pain, and once again let out a cry of pain. Roar. That sharp, ear-piercing roar would have ruptured Uchiha Xiao's eardrums if it weren't for his physical strength. However, Uchiha Xiao still felt that 7 tails was too noisy. He waved random fists, each punch was wrapped in powerful power and chakra, and hit kicking like a wolf. At this moment, the ninjas from Takigakure village also launched an attack on Uchiha Xiao. A total of 200 to 300 ninjas released ninjutsu on Uchiha Xiao. Facing these 200 to 300 various ninjutsu, Uchiha Xiao smiled contemptuously, quickly formed seals with his hands, and opened his mouth to spit. Fire style extinguish the fire. A ball of flame spurted out from Uchiha Xiao's mouth, and then the dense flames quickly dispersed, forming a massive sea of fire. All the ninjas were stunned. They were just brats. How had they ever seen such a powerful fire style? Some sparse water style was released, but it was unable to stop Uchiha Xiao's powerful fire extinguishing. After a slight burst of water vapor was aroused, the sea of fire instantly swallowed dozens of ninjas. Uchiha Xiao looked at 7 tails next to him. Under his continuous taijutsu blows, 7 tails' tailed beast transformation quickly dispersed, and a seriously injured short-haired woman lay on the ground. Pillar. Medical. She had fallen into a coma at this time, and Uchiha Xiao summoned Geto statue without saying a word. The 9 seals of the magic dragon are over. Uchiha Xiao released the sealing technique, a purple chakra dragon lifted Fu up, and then began to extract the tailed beast chakra from the body. Shibuya, the leader of Takigakure village, rushed to the front of the battle. He knew that once Fu was separated from the tailed beast, she would be close to death. He looked at the hero water in his hand. The water of heroes is the holy water that Takigakure village offers all year round. Once you drink it, your chakra will increase dozens of times, but the cost is also obvious. Your vitality will be quickly depleted, and you may even die if you are not careful. Shibuki looked at Fu who was being absorbed, and finally drank the hero water in one gulp. Feeling the surging chakra in his body, Shenmue felt a sense of confidence in his heart. There are so many chakras. Even the legendary Uchiha Xiao is not impossible to defeat. Shimu looked at Uchiha Xiao, and he found that Uchiha Xiao was also looking at him. The rats who snatched the tailed beast, die. Shibuki ran towards Uchiha Xiao at extremely fast speeds, the kunai in his hand containing a large amount of chakra. The kunai turned into a bit of cold light and threw it towards Uchiha Xiao's Tokikora wolf. Bah! CBFC. Shibuki looked excited, because his kunai had penetrated Uchiha Xiao's neck hard, and blood spattered on his face. He cheered, and the ninjas from the same village also embraced him. He was very happy, extremely happy. But, why, my neck hurts so much. The picture in front of Shiki's eyes began to distort, and he discovered that he was still on the battlefield, and Uchiha Xiao was not killed by him. He never even took a step towards Uchiha Xiao. He held a kunai in his hand, and the kunai was covered with bright red blood. Ho ho! Shenmue wanted to say something, but blood had already rushed to his vocal cords, and he could only make a whooshing sound accompanied by bubbles. He covered his neck in shock and fell to the ground. In the eyes of the ninjas of Tokigakure village, after drinking the hero's water, the leader suddenly picked up a kunai and stabbed himself in the neck. Blood spurted out from Shibuki's wound. The leader of Tokigakure Khan died like this. Also dying with him was the future of Tokigakure village. And Uchiha Xiao, after activating the illusion, never looked at the leader of Tokigakure village again. Very good, it's absorbed. Uchiha Xiao murmured, and the cold body was thrown aside by him. What Uchiha Xiao was fighting was the time difference. The 5 shadows were now being dragged along, and the ninja world had no time to protect 7 tails. However, the subsequent arrests of 8 tails and 9 tails may not be so easy. The remaining more than 100 Tokigakure ninjas are extremely angry, but now, the most powerful weapon Fu is dead, and even the leader has been inexplicably affected by the illusion and died. These little ninjas from the small ninja village. What else can be done? Uchiha Xiao turned his head and looked at the group of Tokigakure ninjas. Swish, swish, there was a sound of the soles of shoes being rubbed, and Uchiha Xiao's look scared more than 100 ninjas to back away. Whoops, a black stick appeared in Uchiha Xiao's hand. The so-called cutting off the grass must remove the root, and he was naturally not immune to this. Just when he was about to clean up these ninjas, the eagle appeared again. He flew to a tree and said to Uchiha Xiao. Master Xiao, Sasuke can't hold it anymore. Uchiha Xiao was not surprised. The strength of Sasuke who opened the eternal Mangekyō has exceeded that of ordinary shadows, but it is undoubtedly a fantasy to hold down the 5 shadows and Naruto by himself. He had never thought that Sasuke could cause any harm to the 5 cages. All he wanted was for Sasuke to attract the 5 cages' attention, so that he could easily capture the tailed beast. He glanced at Tokigakure's ninjas and said, "Be lucky that you can survive from my hands." A burst of white smoke rose, and both Uchiha Xiao and Geto statue disappeared in an instant. Ding dong. Kunai, ninja swords, shurikens, the ninja tools were thrown to the ground by the ninjas. They felt that the strong pressure disappeared, and they knew that Uchiha Xiao had really left. Very good. The ninjas of Tokian village have no anger or unwillingness, but only the joy of helping the rest of their lives. In front of Uchiha Xiao, they couldn't resist at all. Chapter 129. Uchiha Xiao arrives at the battlefield. Please subscribe. The huge golden demon fox raised its paw and slapped it down hard. Boom. In an instant, the earth collapsed and the mountains were destroyed, and the heaven and earth were horrified. Sasuke was lying on the ground gasping for breath, and Susanoo around him was already in pieces. Cough, cough. Sasuke coughed up a bunch of blood beads. Under Susanoo's protection, he had never been directly attacked, but the strong shock still caused a lot of injuries to his internal organs. Seeing that the battle was about to end, all the shadows also sighed. Sasuke's strength is indeed very strong. His strength is at the level of a genius in any ninja village, but his world-destroying strength is still no match for Uzumaki Naruto. Everyone looked at the golden 9 tails. If there were no changes, Uzumaki Naruto would be the center of the ninja world. There was a strange noise, and all the Susanoo in Sasuke's body dissipated. His current chakra was no longer enough to support him. Sasuke looked at the mountain-like golden 9 tails and said, "Why are you so strong?" This seemed to be the first time Sasuke admitted that Naruto was strong. 9 tails leaned down and approached Sasuke with its golden head. Naruto's voice came from inside. "You are my most important friend. I swore to myself that I would bring you back to the village." Sasuke showed a sad smile. He, the village is my enemy. I have never seen anyone who would push a friend to an enemy. He stood up and faced the huge 9 tails. He was not afraid, but formed a seal with his hands, and a bolt of thunder and lightning that made a harsh roar was condensed in his hands. Chidori. The golden 9 tails also suddenly disappeared. Naruto stepped out of the 9 tails mode, and at the same time, a high-speed rotating chakra ball was condensed in his hand. Rasengan. Jiraiya and Kakashi watched this scene, but this time, they did not choose to block it, but watched helplessly as the two crashed into each other at extremely fast speeds. Naruto. Sasuke tore at the collar of his clothes, seeming to release the long-suppressed emotions in his heart. Sasuke. Naruto looked ferocious, but his eyes showed a hint of sadness. The two shouted each other's names, and the two groups of abilities collided. With a deafening roar, a white dot appeared between Rasengan and Chidori. Then the white dot continued to expand and expanded into a huge sphere. Everything swept by the sphere was turned into fly ash. Boom. The sphere seemed to be unable to bear it any longer, and finally flashed with fire and exploded. A figure flew backwards from the explosion, and the figure hit the earth wall in the distance, creating a small crater. Naruto stood there, not moving at all. He was not happy because of his victory, there was only endless worry on his face. He's still a child after all, so be merciful, Terumi-Mei said with emotion as she looked at Sasuke's dying appearance. Ai Leng snorted. What a woman's kindness. Such a person would be a disaster if he stayed. Gaara looked at Naruto's sad look. Tien was worried about Naruto. Onoki said nothing and watched this scene quietly. Kakashi was half squatting on the ground, and half of Hokage's royal robe was hanging on the ground, looking very lonely. Kakashi said sadly, "It's all because of my irresponsible teacher that you are in this situation." Jiraiya said from the side. Don't blame yourself too much. I can only say that these two children are too special. Kakashi replied. It is precisely because they are special that third-generation Sama would entrust them to me at that time. I betrayed the trust of third-generation Sama. I am not a qualified teacher. Jiraiya was speechless and could only look at the battlefield. At this time, Naruto suddenly waved to Jiraiya. Jiraiya ran over. What's wrong? Naruto. Naruto looked at Sasuke and said. Pervy Sage, can you seal Sasuke's chakra? I want to take him back to the village. Jiraiya nodded. No problem. He was naturally very happy to weaken one of Uchiha Xiao's strengths. Jiraiya looked at Naruto's somewhat sad eyes and said, Naruto, it's okay. With everyone's efforts, everything will be the same as before. Naruto looked up and smiled. Jiraiya walked up to Sasuke and stretched out his hand to grab Sasuke. At this time, a sound broke through the air from the side, and Jiraiya quickly turned his head. Boom. The swift blow sent Jiraiya flying in the air, and then hit the ground hard. Jiraiya stood up immediately and murmured, This strength is impossible. He raised his head and saw that his attacker was wearing a green robe and had a beautiful face under his golden hair. Gang, purpose. With the appearance of Tsunade, the whole place fell into an atmosphere of silence. Tsunade, why is it you? Jiraiya stared at Tsunade and roared. Tsunade didn't speak, didn't even look at Jiraiya, but used healing jutsu to treat Sasuke. Asking for flowers. Under Tsunade's superb medical skills, the bleeding on Sasuke's body quickly stopped. Jiraiya squatted down, chakra gathered at his feet, and he was ready to catch Tsunade and question him. Kakashi was also ready to attack, but he didn't take out his weapon. He also wanted to capture Tsunade alive and question him. Grandma Tsunade. Naruto's voice made Tsunade's hands stop moving. Naruto rarely shouted, but said calmly, Are you going to betray the village and follow Uchiha Xiao like Sasuke? Originally Tsunade didn't want to answer Naruto, but when he saw Naruto's face, Tsunade thought of Naoki's face. Tsunade lowered his head, not knowing what he was thinking. Looking at Tsunade's appearance, Jiraiya's eyes flashed with hope. Soon, Tsunade raised his head. I, Tsunade, am Uchiha Xiao's subordinate. Jiraiya lowered his head and covered his head with his hands in pain. Then, he raised his head slightly, and the eyes between his hair revealed an aura of determination. Jiraiya's voice became hoarse than ever before. Tsunade, I said, as long as you dare to do something that harms the village, then you are my enemy. I spoke at this time. There is no need to talk so much nonsense with such a traitor. It is only because of this woman that Uchiha Xiao can open the Rinnegan and be fully resurrected. This woman is an out-and-out sinner. Jiraiya formed the seal without hesitation. Ninja technique, random lion hair technique. His hair quickly lengthened and he attacked Tsunade. Tsunade had no choice but to interrupt the treatment in his hands, and rolled several times to avoid the repeated blows to his hair. Although Jiraiya was very angry at this time, he was still very entangled in his heart, so that the speed of his hair attack was much slower than before. I instantly complained. Are all you people in Konoha so indecisive? But at least Tsunade was forced to leave with Sasuke. Gaara stretched out his arm and worked, and a streak of yellow sand instantly enveloped Sasuke. But at this moment, chicken. Bang. The sand controlled by Gaara suddenly spread out like an explosion, and not only Sasuke, but also Tsunade disappeared. Everyone's perception ability was very good, and they immediately locked their sights on high places. Haha, it's so lively. A voice with a hint of contempt sounded from a high place, which seemed ethereal and unreal. Uchiha. Naruto looked at the tall figure, anger crawling onto his face. Chapter 130. Uchiha Xiao. Tsunade is my woman. Please subscribe. Every Kage has personally experienced the power of Uchiha Xiao. Seeing that it is him who is coming, they are all ready to fight. Uchiha Xiao held Sasuke in his hands and looked at Naruto. After looking up and down, he said, I have no interest in taking action now. I abide by the agreement. It is 3 months later. Onoki spoke. We have 5 shadows gathering together. This is not something you can come and leave whenever you want. Jiraiya also looked at Uchiha Xiao seriously, and then looked at Tsunade. He felt that Tsunade must have some difficulties, and Nasho must be threatened. Jiraiya said loudly, You really can't leave, I have to take Tsunade back to the village. After listening to Jiraiya's words, Uchiha Xiao raised his eyebrows and instantly became playful. He quickly put his hands on Tsunade's waist, and pulled Tsunade to his side with all his strength. Tsunade was also frightened by this sudden movement. At such a close distance, the smell of Uchiha Xiao's body and every breath were suddenly amplified. In the stunned eyes of everyone, Uchiha Xiao said to Jiraiya, Jiraiya, stop being a licking dog and Tsunade is already my woman. Tsunade also looked shocked, she didn't expect Uchiha Xiao to actually play this trick. Jiraiya also looked at Tsunade, seeming to ask Tsunade to give an explanation. However, Tsunade did not speak at this time because she didn't know what to say in the face of this situation. In fact, Tsunade didn't want to take action at first. As mentioned before, she didn't want to become an enemy of the ninja world, but after seeing Jiraiya, Tsunade made a decision in her heart. She has boarded Uchiha Xiao's pirate ship and will never get off, so the only thing she can do now is to express her stance with her former friends. In Tsunade's heart, this can be regarded as a kind of farewell. Stop talking so much, kill that woman together, I said, and then the 5 shadows set off together and rushed towards Uchiha Xiao. The shadows of the 5 major ninja villages launched an attack on Uchiha Xiao. Who in the entire ninja world still has such treatment? Kakashi took the lead in attacking. He stretched out his hand and purple lightning flashed. Purple lightning. But Uchiha Xiao seemed not to see it, standing there motionless. Just when Kakashi's purple lightning was about to hit Uchiha Xiao, Tsunade moved. Boom. The white fist hit Kakashi directly, and Kakashi was unable to prevent it and flew out in midair. As for Tsunade, her golden hair covered her eyes, and no one could see Tsunade's expression clearly. Tsunade. Jiraiya shouted in disappointment again, as if this could wake Tsunade up. Uchiha Xiao cast an approving look at Tsunade. Well done. The other 4 Hokages also launched an attack. Terumi Mei formed a seal with her hands, and a ball of acidic corrosive liquid spurted out. Lava-style monster melting technique. Seeing the flying acid, Uchiha Xiao used Susanoo without hesitation. See, there was a heart-wrenching sound of corrosion, and Uchiha Xiao saw that the flesh and bones of Susanoo's body had begun to melt. At this moment, Onoki and I also suddenly attacked. Onoki was seen lying behind I, who was running towards Uchiha Xiao at an extremely fast speed. He jumped high and flew above Uchiha Xiao. Strong electric light converged on I's feet. Lightning-style guillotine drop. At the same time, Inanno Admiral put his hand on I's body. Earth-style weighted rock technique. After using the weighted rock, Onoki immediately left I's body. After the technique was performed, I felt that the weight on his body suddenly increased. The extremely strong weight was even stronger than every time he used to exercise his body. But there is no doubt that under this weight, his guillotine drop will explode with unprecedented power. Under this extreme weight, the thunder and lightning on I's feet even burst into dazzling white light. Seeing that this powerful and heavy blow was about to hit him, Uchiha opened the Mangekyō Sharingan. Yu Zhu Ming. With the activation of Mangekyō, this time stopped again. Uchiha Xiao's figure flashed in an instant and came to Raikage-I's side. He picked up the black stick and hit I directly in the chest. Call out. A black stick cut through the air and struck Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao turned around and dodged the black stick with an extremely gorgeous movement. At the same time, Naruto's figure also stood in front of I. Don't even think about hurting Uncle Hei. Uchiha Xiao looked at the black rod deeply embedded in the ground and said, "Are you still using your borrowed ability?" Naruto was not affected by Uchiha Xiao's words at all. He said firmly, "As long as I can defeat you and bring Sasuke and Grandma Tsunade back to the village, I will accept any ability no matter what." Uchiha Xiao shook his head and laughed involuntarily. "Naruto, you are so naive, you underestimate human nature." Just as Uchiha Xiao finished speaking, Yu Zuming's time stop effect ended, and the guillotine drop on the side also hit the ground hard. Boom. This powerful and heavy blow directly caused the ground to collapse. Everyone around felt that the earth was shaking. Not only that, lightning, thunder and electric current were within the attack range in the pit. If such a blow hits Susanoo, it will definitely shatter Susanoo into pieces. The smoke and dust caused by the explosion flew everywhere. I walked out of the smoke, and Onoki also flew to his side. I said. He disappeared at that moment. It seems that it was the time-stopping technique again. Onoki looked at Naruto who was confronting Uchiha Xiao. It seems that Naruto saved us again. I grinned. Of course I know that. Uchiha Xiao looked at the aggressive 5 shadows and Naruto. He did not panic, but instead felt a desire to fight in his heart. However, Uchiha Xiao has always been a person who abides by his promises. If he says 3 months later, it will be 3 months later. Suppressing the fighting spirit in his heart, Uchiha Xiao said, "Since it is a game, then you must abide by the rules of the game. See you in the Ninja World War in 3 months." Before anyone could make a move, Uchiha Xiao held Tsunade's waist with one hand, carried Sasuke with the other, and left in a blink of an eye. "Go after it," Ibao shouted, and the other shadows also wanted to chase after him with great fighting spirit. But Naruto stretched out his hand to stop them at this moment. Naruto looked at the direction Uchiha Xiao was leaving and said, "No need to chase, that guy has already escaped from the country." Everyone's expressions froze instantly. This speed is too fast. This speed can only be sensed by Naruto who has mastered the power of 6 paths. Everyone looked at the direction Uchiha Xiao was leaving, and their hearts became heavy. In less than half a year, Uchiha Xiao successfully resurrected from Impure World Reincarnation and owned the Rinnegan. And now Uchiha Xiao has 3 more months. I don't know these 3 months. 2.3. How much stronger will Uchiha Xiao become? At this moment, I saw a warrior from the Kingdom of Iron coming on horseback. The samurai got off his horse and ran quickly towards Mifune. The samurai took out a piece of information and handed it to Mifune. "Mifune-sama. Please read it." Mifune's eyes moved, scanning the information. Soon, his expression became calmer. Mifune looked at everyone with a serious expression on his face. "Everyone, I have some bad news. When everyone heard this, their hearts immediately lifted. Onoki immediately said, "Is it about Uchiha Xiao again?" Mifune sighed and nodded. "Now, if something bad happens in the ninja world, just blame Uchiha Xiao directly. 9 times out of 10, it will be correct." Everyone stared closely at Mifune, wanting him to reveal the information. Mifune stopped talking and said slowly, "Seven Tails has been captured." Chapter 131. Got tricked by Uchiha Xiao. Please subscribe. After hearing Mifune's words, everyone was shocked, and then they all woke up. This guy. Everyone understood that the reason why Sasuke came to cause a fuss about the 5-cage conference was to give Uchiha Xiao time to capture the tailed beast. It seems that everyone has been fooled. Terumi narrowed her eyes slightly. All the shadows in every village are above 10,000 people, how could anyone have ever tricked them like this? At the same time, they were also a little upset. The village of Takigakure where Seven Tails Jinchuriki was located was really too weak. Previously, they tried hard to get Seven Tails Jinchuriki to accept the protection of the 5 powers. However, the leader of Takigakure village, Shibuki, is a man with great ambitions and little talent. He obviously has no strength, but he talks about the village, everyone, and other false and empty words. This made Seven Tails Jinchuriki, who was originally hesitant, return to his weak hometown. I was very angry. Where is the leader of Takian village? Let him come over and accept accountability. If there was a table in front of him, he must have smashed it to pieces with one palm. However, Mifune said, Shibuki of Takigakure village is dead. After hearing his words, everyone became silent, and the anger in Ai's heart disappeared. Shibuki was the first ninja village leader to die at the hands of Uchiha Xiao 21 in the true sense. Although Takigakure is just a small ninja village, it is still a ninja village in theory, and Shibuki's level is on the same level as the Gokage. When a leader dies, everyone is inevitably a little sad and scared. This time it was Shibuki who died, but what about next time? Hokage or Kazekage? Mifune continued to look at the information and said, furthermore, after the disaster in Takigakure village, there are only less than 200 ninjas left, and they are already on the verge of collapse. In that battle, all those who had some fighting ability died at the hands of Uchiha Xiao, and the remaining ninjas were basically Genin Chunin. Takigakure village has experienced a huge decline in strength. I am afraid that this village is really going to die soon. I suddenly thought of Killer Bee at this time, and he felt panicked. I couldn't form the seal because of his broken arm, so he quickly said to his 2 subordinates, summoning the surveillance pigeons quickly. Darui quickly formed a seal and summoned a pigeon. The pigeon is relatively large and has a large black cross tattooed on its back, which is very consistent with the culture of Cloud Shinobi village. However, after Pigeon was summoned, his face looked like he was surviving a disaster. Pigeon even panted heavily and kept saying, I'm saved, I'm saved. Everyone quickly looked at summoning beast. What does it mean to be saved? Did this Uchiha Xiao capture both 7 tails and 8 tails in such a short period of time? I grabbed the pigeon and yelled, what does it mean to be saved? Why didn't you come and tell us instead of being caught by Uchiha Xiao? Click. Pigeon was immediately frightened and said quickly, Killer Bee was not caught. He was holding a concert in the village. Oh my god, his voice sounded like he had been kissed by the devil. Fortunately, Tarui took me summoning over, thank god. Darui shed a drop of cold sweat, and before the pigeon could finish speaking, he made a seal and sent the pigeon back. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they heard this. 8 Tails was the only tailed beast that had not been captured. Although they didn't know what Uchiha Xiao's purpose was in collecting the 9 tailed beasts, they were just to summon the tailed beasts. That was enough to give the 5 shadows a headache. But at this time, Terumi asked, Uchiha Xiao has successfully resurrected, obtained the Rinnegan, and gathered the 8-tailed beasts, so why hasn't he launched a war yet and instead gave us 3 months? Quote. Everyone was also confused. Uchiha Xiao must have some purpose in doing this. He is not the kind of person who does it on a whim. Naruto took 2 steps forward and said, that guy is probably stalling for time. He wants to drag my 6 paths power until it weakens or even disappears. Everyone was shocked when they heard this, and Terumi immediately asked, can the power of 6 paths disappear? Naruto nodded. I said angrily, what sage of 6 paths? It's so stingy. Naruto said, Grandpa 6 paths said that I am the reincarnation of Ashura, Sasuke is the reincarnation of Indra, and Uchiha Xiao, like an alien visitor, suddenly appeared and broke the original pattern and destiny of the ninja world, so, Grandpa 6 paths give me strength. Naruto's eyes became a little wandering. However, these powers were lent to me by Grandpa 6 paths. As time goes by, the power of 6 paths will slowly disappear. Everyone frowned. Sage of 6 paths, the legendary creator god, the founder of Chakra's ancestral peace and order. Such a god tier actually came forward in person to deal with Uchiha Xiao and gave Naruto such a strong power. Does this mean that Uchiha Xiao's strength has reached the point where she threatens Sage of 6 paths? And that's not all. The power of 6 paths given by Sage of 6 paths is actually only temporary, and Naruto can't even buy it. You all feel a little heavy. Naruto has the power of 6 paths, and it is so difficult to fight. Once Naruto's power disappears, it will be even more difficult to defeat Uchiha Xiao. I yelled insults. That guy is so despicable. Onoki said leisurely. After all, that guy is a ninja, and despicable is synonymous with ninja. Just when one of them was sighing and the other was angry, Kakashi came over and said, "You two have probably not forgotten what you just said, right?" What Kakashi said was naturally what he said to Tsuchikage Raikage when Naruto and Sasuke were fighting just now. 440. Onoki nodded. I will not break my promise. The establishment of the Ninja Alliance is imperative. I also nodded in agreement, but he had his own conditions. Eight Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee is my younger brother, so I hope that our Cloud Shinobi will protect him. Everyone frowned when they heard this. Terumi May said, Sir Raikage, at this time of crisis, you can't be willful. Killer Bee can be said to be the most important person in the ninja world now. I hope that he can be directly protected by our five shadows. Quote. Kakashi also nodded. With the protection of the five shadows, the safety performance will be directly at the same level. Killer Bee said angrily, what do you know? That kid won't be obedient. And we have a place in Cloud Shinobi, a place that Uchiha Xiao will never find. Jiraiya asked from the side, is it reliable? That place. I gave a thumbs up very confidently and said, that is a moving hidden place. In the entire ninja world, only I know where it is. During the war, all generations of Jinchuriki had precedents of hiding there. No one can find that place. Naruto came up from the side at this time. Hey, where is it? Uncle Black, can you tell me? I immediately straightened his face. Don't ask any more questions. Naruto could only smile sarcastically. Although everyone was curious, they also knew that this was the secret of Cloud Shinobi Village, so they didn't ask any more questions. Chapter 132. Can you beat Sasuke stupid? On the other side, inside Uchiha Xiao's base, Sasuke was lying in the infirmary, Tsunade was wrapping bandages on him bit by bit, and Uchiha Xiao stood aside and watched coldly. Almost no part of Sasuke's body was intact. Ordinary medical ninjutsu could not heal him at all, so he had to use medical skills. However, despite the pain all over his body, Sasuke didn't even frown. In his current state, he almost forgot about the pain. All he could think about was Naruto's figure, Naruto's all-powerful figure standing in the Golden Nine Tails. Sasuke couldn't understand how Naruto could obtain the power of the Sage of Six Paths. When he thought about being beaten into a drowned dog by Naruto, Sasuke became very angry, and even became so angry that his whole body started to tremble. Tsunade frowned. Don't move your body, the wound will collapse. Sasuke could only barely suppress his inner rage and continued to cooperate with Tsunade's treatment. At this time, Uchiha Xiao spoke. Do you know why Naruto would gain that power? The power of Sage of Six Paths. Sasuke looked at Uchiha Xiao. He said nothing, but his eyes were full of desire for power. Tsunade continued her work, but her ears were always paying attention to Uchiha Lian's words. Uchiha Xiao slowly said, you also know the legend of Sage of Six Paths, but do you know his descendants? Sasuke shook his head. For most people, the legend of Sage of Six Paths is limited to the illusory creation of the world and the creation of chakra. Moreover, with the development of technology, many people tend to think that Sage of Six Paths is just a legend. That's all. As for heirs, that is unheard of. Uchiha Xiao continued. Sage of Six Paths has two children, one named Indra and one named Ashura. The eldest brother Indra is a very talented person. He has opened a pair of blood-red eyes and is very powerful. Blood-red eyes. Sasuke's heart perked up. Uchiha Xiao nodded and said, as you think, the ancestor of our Uchiha family is Sage of Six Paths. Sasuke is a little excited. Sage of Six Paths is the god of creation, and he is actually a descendant of the god of creation. Indra is very powerful. He can basically solve everything by himself, so he also believes that power can solve everything. When he said this, Uchiha Xiao's eyes showed a hint of approval. Obviously, Uchiha Xiao fully agrees with the claims of his ancestor Indra. Then Uchiha Xiao changed the topic. As for Indra's younger brother Ashura, he is a person with poor talent. He does not have the talent of his elder brother, so he has to form ridiculous cliques. Relying on the strength of his friends, he barely obtained a career comparable to Indra's ability. And he is also the ancestor of the Uzumaki clan and the Senju clan. Tsunade, who was just listening quietly at first, was suddenly startled. I am eating myself. Uchiha Xiao glanced at Tsunade. Yes, Ashura is just as ridiculous and naive as your grandfather. Tsunade looked at Uchiha Xiao coldly and said nothing in the end. She had heard enough of Uchiha Xiao's stereotype of Hashirama these days. Uchiha Xiao continued. The two brothers had great differences in philosophy and eventually parted ways, but the two always loved each other and fought each other. Although they loved each other, they could not avoid fighting often. As Sasuke listened, he felt that this story was very familiar. Uchiha Xiao looked at Sasuke and said, do you feel that this story is very familiar? Sasuke was stunned for a moment and nodded repeatedly. Uchiha Xiao did not clarify, but continued to tell the story. Even if the two of them died, the chakra they created will continue to reincarnate as time goes by, and it will never end. Reincarnation. Reincarnation. Sasuke's face was very surprised. If he hadn't known what kind of existence Uchiha Xiao was, Sasuke would have regarded Uchiha Xiao as a magic stick. Uchiha Xiao said flatly. Yes, and Uzumaki Naruto is the reincarnation of Ashura. The expressions of Sasuke and Tsunade suddenly changed. Tsunade was purely surprised, while Sasuke. Just the word, jealousy, is written on his face. Sasuke's facial features were almost twisted together, and he gritted his teeth and said, that guy. How is that possible? Uchiha Xiao didn't seem to see Sasuke's emotional change and continued. Uzumaki Naruto was extracted from the Nine Tails chakra by me before and has already died once, but because he is the reincarnation of Ashura, Sage of Six Paths gave him a chance to be reborn. And a strong force zone. Quote, am I not going to be able to catch up with him in this life? Sasuke even opened Mangekyō. One can imagine how deeply dissatisfied he felt in his heart. Bang! Sasuke hung his hand vigorously on the wall, and the wall soon cracked, but at the same time the wound on his arm also cracked. Tsunade sighed and treated Sasuke's wounds helplessly. Uchiha Xiao looked at Sasuke and asked with a teasing look, didn't you just think that the story of Indra and Ashura was familiar? Sasuke looked at Uchiha Xiao with some doubts in his heart. He couldn't understand why he thought this story was familiar to him. Don't you think their story is very similar to your story with Naruto? Boom. Like a thunderbolt hitting Sasuke, Sasuke finally understood why the story was so imaginary. He and Naruto also left because of different ideas and dreams. They both valued each other in their hearts and wanted to defeat each other. Soon, Sasuke thought of something, and his eyes shone brightly. Then, what do you mean? Tsunade also looked at Uchiha Xiao, who had already made some guesses about this matter. Yes, you are the reincarnation of Indra. Although Uchiha Xiao said this, his tone was calm, as if he was recounting a well-known thing. Sasuke immediately lost his composure. He looked at his bandaged hands and murmured, I am the reincarnation of Indra, the reincarnation. Don't move, Uchiha Sasuke. Tsunade warned, but Sasuke still didn't listen. Soon, Sasuke looked at Uchiha Xiao with crazy eyes. Does this mean that as long as I die, I can be resurrected quickly and then gain the same strength as Naruto? Idiot. Uchiha Xiao spoke. Quote exclamation mark quote. Sasuke was stunned for a moment, and the madness in his eyes dissipated a little. The power of reincarnation was given to Naruto personally by Sage of Six Paths in order to deal with me. Do you think that if you are with Qian Zhaozhao, me now, Sage of Six Paths will still give you the power? You little brat. Don't move around. Tsunade directly used his strange strength and punched Sasuke on the head. Boom. Sasuke's head hurts. If he hadn't become stronger now, he would have fainted if he couldn't protect himself. Woman. What are you doing? Sasuke covered his head as he cursed. Uchiha Xiao looked a little uneasy when he saw this scene. What if he beats Sasuke stupid and loses his memory? However, he quickly changed his mind and thought that it was a good thing that Sasuke was beaten stupid. That would make it easier to control him, and he would not cause trouble when sealing 10 tails in. Tsunade, did the 10 boxers beat Sasuke stupid just now? Huh, are you questioning the extent of my research on the human body? Don't worry, I won't beat him stupid. Oh, that's a shame. Quote question mark quote. Tsunade tilted his head in confusion. Quote question mark quote. Sasuke looked at Uchiha Xiao, wondering if he heard wrongly. Chapter 133. Tsunade's illusion, Uchiha Xiao likes me. Please subscribe. In short, I am not sure that you will get the guidance of Sage of Six Paths after death, so for now, we just need to go step by step according to the original plan, understand? Uchiha Xiao said to Sasuke. Sasuke calmed down now and thought for a moment that this was indeed the case. Sasuke nodded and got out of bed. All the wounds on his body had been treated by Tsunade. Hey, Xiao, don't forget to turn me into 10 tails Jinchuriki. After saying that, Sasuke walked out of the infirmary without saying a word. He wanted to go back to his room for some quiet time and review the battle with Naruto. Uchiha Xiao responded. Don't worry, I will forget everything, including this. Looking at Sasuke's eyes, Uchiha Xiao revealed a trace of greed. Tsunade saw all this, but she wouldn't say anything to Sasuke. She packed up the equipment in the infirmary and walked out without looking back. Don't drink anymore. Uchiha Xiao looked at the lonely wine on the table and wondered whether Tsunade didn't drink as usual. Tsunade just said lightly. No need. Tsunade drinks. He doesn't really like wine, he just likes to use wine to relieve his sorrows, trying to use wine to forget the pain of the past. After expressing her position and saying goodbye to Jiraiya just now, Tsunade felt much more relaxed, and she had nothing to worry about anymore. As for the pain of the past, Tsunade also chose to believe in Uchiha Xiao. 530 She believed that Uchiha Xiao would resurrect Naoki and Dan. From this point of view, she didn't have many worries anymore, so there was no need for her to drink to relieve her worries. Tsunade showed a rare smile and walked towards the direction where Shizune was being held. Soon, the time came 3 days later. A controlled ninja walked into the base, opened his mouth, and told Uchiha Xiao the intelligence collected in recent days. To put it simply, on the third day after Uchiha Xiao captured Seven Tails, the ninja coalition was quickly established. This is also the second time that the entire ninja world has formed a ninja coalition. It has been 60 years since the first time. And coincidentally, the first time that the ninja coalition was formed was to deal with Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao sat on a chair, supported his head with his hands, and said flatly, "No matter how many people there are, it is meaningless." After the controlled ninja left, Uchiha Xiao looked at the shadows aside and said, "What's the matter?" Tsunade walked out of the shadows, with a rare tangled look on his face. Uchiha Xiao was a little confused. I saw Tsunade bit her red lips lightly, showing a rather hesitant expression, and then said, 3 days ago, why did you say that I was yours in front of so many people? Question mark quote. That's it. Uchiha Xiao is a bit boring. Are women's focus so strange? Uchiha Xiao was too lazy to explain, but said calmly, you can think about it yourself. Myself. In fact, Uchiha Xiao's idea at the time was just for fun. He wanted to see what kind of expression Jiraiya, a middle-aged licker, would show when he saw the goddess turned into an enemy. As a result, Jiraiya's expression made Uchiha Xiao very satisfied. After Uchiha Xiao said, I think about it, Tsunade really thought about what Uchiha Xiao's purpose was. She remembered that when the Deidara duo attacked before, it was Uchiha Xiao who used Susanna to save her from Deidara's powerful attack. Not long ago, Uchiha Xiao also provided her with wine. How did he know I like sake? Tsunade thought. If Uchiha Xiao were to know Tsunade's thoughts, he would definitely feel that he was wronged and give Tsunade sake to drink. This was exactly what he had seen in anime before. The most alcoholic drink Tsunade drank was either sake or beer. Tsunade continued to think, because his mind was spinning very fast. 3 days ago, he suddenly hugged her waist, and then faced the 5 shadows and directly declared that she was Uchiha Xiao's woman. Isn't it obvious that all of this is already there? She had always thought that Uchiha Xiao didn't like women, or was a pervert, but she didn't expect that Uchiha Xiao had been coveting her for so long. Tsunade's footsteps were heard again, and Uchiha Xiao turned to look. Why is she back? Uchiha Xiao looked at Tsunade expressionlessly, waiting for her to ask some boring questions again. I saw Tsunade change his hesitation just now, but his expression was very firm. She walked up to Uchiha Xiao and said, just give up. Give up. Hearing this, Uchiha Xiao suddenly became wary. Give up. Give up what? Give up declaring war with the ninja world or give up attacking Konoha? It seems that Tsunade is still Tsunade after all. Is the poison of the will of fire so profound? Uchiha Xiao's eyes gradually turned cold. Give up. Don't forget, we are in the same boat now. Tsunade never expected that Uchiha Xiao could be so domineering. Although she is now Uchiha Xiao's subordinate, she is still one of the Sannin and the princess of the Senju family. How can we easily hand over people just because of the so-called nonsense about being on the same boat? You can't do this anyway. Tsunade's cheeks turned slightly red because he was a little embarrassed. Uchiha Xiao sneered. No. In what capacity are you ordering me? Tsunade was also slightly stunned. She was now Uchiha Xiao's subordinate, and there was no place for Tsunade in the entire ninja world. In what capacity could she order him? Uchiha Xiao continued. The deal is done, and the current result cannot be changed. No matter how your thoughts change, you can only accept the arrival of fate obediently. Uchiha Xiao is a result-oriented person. He doesn't care how Tsunade's thoughts change, whether he is loyal or not, whether he hates him or not. For him, as long as the results can be achieved, he will not care about Tsunade's thoughts. It's done. Tsunade couldn't believe it. She always thought that Uchiha Xiao was looking for her simply because of her superb medical skills. Unexpectedly, there was another layer that was deeper and deeper into her soul. I can't believe you would do this. Tsunade's expression was a little angry and struggling. She never expected that she would end up in this situation. At this time, Uchiha Xiao also felt a little strange. Tsunade's expression didn't seem to be questioning him, but Uchiha Xiao didn't know what Tsunade wanted to express. Uchiha Xiao, who has always been knowledgeable about human nature and scheming, could not clearly see what Tsunade was thinking at this moment. Then, Tsunade's eyes gradually became firmer, as if he had made some determination. Got an answer. Seeing this, Uchiha Xiao also gradually became murderous. Now Tsunade is of little use to him, if Tsunade dares to stop him. He doesn't mind killing Tsunade with his own hands. Soon, Tsunade spoke. I don't know what you like about me, but I just want to say that you'd better give up. Question mark quote dot. Chapter 134. Discovering Eight Tails Jinchuriki. Uchiha Xiao was stunned for a full second. In today's ninja world, who can make Uchiha Xiao lose his cool for a second? And Tsunade did it. Uchiha Xiao's thinking is very quick. Combining the conversation just now and Tsunade's expression, he quickly understood the context of the conversation and judged. An own goal. Uchiha Xiao sneered. Like you. You are already over 50, so don't be in heat anymore. With that said, Uchiha Xiao stood up and ignored Tsunade. He looked at the sunlight outside the window and murmured, "The time is almost here." The reason why Uchiha Xiao has been staying at the base is because he is waiting. He is waiting for the time for Killer Bee to go from Cloud Shinobi Village to Turtle Island. He substituted himself into Ai's body. If he were Raikage, in which time period would he choose to send Ai there? The date Uchiha Xiao inferred is today. Uchiha Xiao ignored Tsunade, performed a teleportation, and left suddenly. Tsunade still stood there blankly, she had not yet gotten over her embarrassment. She covered her heated face, feeling that she had thought too much. Sure enough, how could a person like Uchiha Xiao be the one who was attracted to others in that moment? But when she thought about how she and Uchiha Xiao talked a lot, and even misunderstood both Uchiha Xiao and herself during the conversation. How embarrassing. Tsunade grabbed the door frame aside, and the door frame instantly cracked with a ferocious crack. Uchiha Xiao was flying in the air, and the embarrassing scene with Tsunade just now was not even a small episode for him. He was flying in the air, and underneath him was the endless ocean. Uchiha Xiao used Sharingan to quickly search for something on the sea. Soon, Uchiha Xiao's Sharingan stopped moving. Sharingan locked on a place, and a huge cloud caught his eye. Uchiha Xiao accelerated and flew towards the cloud. As Uchiha Xiao got closer, the interference from those clouds became less and less, and when he got into the clouds, Uchiha Xiao also saw the scenery inside the clouds. There is a huge island in the cloud. This island looks very strange. The surface of the island is covered with huge and strange thorns. Under the thorns, there are dense woods. Many birds are flying from the woods, which looks full of life, exuberant. But the strangest thing is that this island is not motionless. It is drifting on the sea at a slow speed, as if it is a huge island-shaped cruise ship. Uchiha Xiao did not show any surprise, but continued to fly to the other side of the island. Soon, he flew to the other side of the island, and what he saw confirmed what he was thinking. The head of a huge sea turtle is placed on the side of the island. Call. The turtle opened its mouth and took in the air happily. Because its body was so huge, just breathing made a huge sound. Found it. Uchiha Xiao finally determined that she had come to the right place. This was the training ground of Cloud Shinobi Village Jinchuriki, the secret mobile base of Cloud Shinobi Village. Turtle Island. This island is not actually an island, but a huge turtle in procession. In fact, if Uchiha Xiao flies higher, he can see the dark shadows under the sea reflecting the turtle's limbs and tail. According to the plot, Turtle Island covers an area of 10 square kilometers. However, this is only the shell on the back of Turtle Island. No one knows how big the full extent of Turtle Island is. When Guang Ziyu approached Bo Xiao, a barrier appeared in front of him. This is Cloud Shinobi Village's sealing technique to prevent outsiders from invading. However, these seals are like child's play in Uchiha Xiao's eyes. Uchiha Xiao smiled slightly and stretched out his hand on the barrier. The next second, the barrier cracked. In Turtle Island, Darui and 2 Jonin accompanied Killer Bee, while Killer Bee was practicing, and Yuki's tail sprouted out of his Kirby body. At this moment, Darui was startled for a moment. He looked in one direction and said loudly, "Someone has broken through the barrier." Others also became a little wary after hearing this, but overall they still didn't feel nervous. After all, there are 3 Jonin and a perfect Jinchuriki here now. Such strength is enough to walk sideways in the ninja world. Except for meeting Uchiha. But Uchiha Xiao didn't know the location of Turtle Island, so none of them were afraid. Even Killer Bee followed them. However, when they came to the place where the barrier was destroyed, their minds suddenly went crazy. I saw a young and handsome man standing in front of him, wearing black retro armor. If this isn't Uchiha Xiao, then who is it? Uchiha Xiao's appearance has long been spread throughout the ninja world, and almost all ninjas can recognize Uchiha Xiao's appearance. Please give me flowers. No, it can't be. A Jonin said in disbelief. Darui also couldn't believe it. You must know that this is a secret place in the village. Only Jonin, Raikage and Jinchuriki, who have gained the trust of the village, can know this place. Most of the Cloud Shinobi ninjas don't even know that such a place exists. How on earth did Uchiha Xiao, a foreigner, know about it? However, reality would not give them time to be surprised. Uchiha Xiao raised his steps, and with this movement, the 2 Jonin behind Darui trembled. Although Darui couldn't believe it, it was the fact that Uchiha Xiao came to him. A drop of cold sweat broke out on Darui's forehead. This was his inner fear of Uchiha Xiao's strength, but out of duty, he still shouted to Uchiha Xiao, "Don't come any closer. If you come any closer I will move." Really? Uchiha Xiao smiled and continued walking towards Darui. Darui quickly formed a seal with his hands, and then spat out a wave of water from his mouth. Lightning-style emotion wave. The water waves carried thunder and lightning and rushed towards Uchiha Xiao. The speed of this water wave was not very fast, and Uchiha Xiao dodged it with a dodge. However, just when Uchiha Xiao thought the attack was over, he saw a light shining in the dispersed water wave. On the other side, Darui's hands have already formed a seal. Lightning-style illusion thunder illusion pillar. A beam of light suddenly rose up and the dazzling light quickly pierced Uchiha Xiao's eyes. In fact, this jutsu, strong light, is just a prefix, and there is actually an illusion technique behind it. However, this childlike illusion technique is completely useless to Uchiha Xiao. Darui didn't think about how much he could hold Uchiha Xiao back like this. He immediately turned back to Killer Bee and said, Killer Bee. Run away now. At this moment, Uchiha Xiao quickly took action, turning into an afterimage and attacking Darui and others. Darui and others' pupils suddenly shrank. They thought that no one in the world could be faster than Lord Raikage, but now they saw it. Darui was shocked. Didn't you expect to escape from the Thunder Phantom Thunder Beam so quickly? For Uchiha Xiao, even without eyes, he can destroy Konoha, but now he is just stabbed by the light, which has no impact at all. Chapter 135. Secret Technique, Land Done. Chapter 121. Secret Technique, Land Done. Uchiha Xiao was like Superman, moving at high speed while extending his fist and aiming at Darui. Boom. Bang. After the sound of breaking through the air, there was a chilling sound of jumping. Darui's figure suddenly moved backwards, and his feet plowed two deep ravines on the ground. Just when Uchiha Xiao wanted to pursue, the two Cloud Shinobi Jonin next to him also launched an attack. Don't underestimate us Cloud Shinobi. The two Jonin drew out their ninja swords. Ninjutsu and swordsmanship were Cloud Shinobi Village's specialties, and these two were also standard Cloud Shinobi ninjas, extremely good at these three. In many years of fighting, these two also developed a powerful combination attack technique. 4 rays of lightning crossed together and mixed with the sword energy to form a rice-shaped attack. Combined attack ninja technique Miz Lei Zong. Uchiha Xiao shouted. Well done, 027. Then he formed a seal with his hands, took a deep breath, and then spit it out suddenly. Wind style. Vacuum Dayama. A huge wind bomb was suddenly launched, and the wind bomb whizzed away, leaving sharp marks on the ground wherever it passed. Buzz. The moment the two collided, there was a violent noise, electric light splashed out, and the ground was scorched black. The frantic wind blade made a whooshing sound. You didn't need to get close to know that it must be extremely sharp. Boom. The two finally emitted a burst of dazzling white light, then roared and exploded. The huge impact lifted the two Jonin away. After tumbling in the air, the two finally landed firmly on the ground. At this moment, the two discovered that Uchiha Xiao had disappeared. Darui's voice came from behind. Yunjian. Behind you. The Jonin named Yunjian turned around suddenly and saw a black stick in front of him, just when the black stick was about to pierce Yunjian's eye. A huge thing suddenly attacked and crashed into Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao accepted the impact and sneered. Oh, you finally couldn't help it. It was a huge octopus leg that knocked Uchiha Xiao away. Uchiha Xiao sensed Killer Bee's aura early on. This guy who loved the village and his companions never left. Instead, he hid in a nearby tree and waited for an opportunity. Lord Killer Bee, why are you back? The rescued Yunjian was not happy because he was saved, but instead shouted angrily at Killer Bee. He originally thought that Killer Bee had been saved, so he didn't feel anything about his death, but Killer Bee came back at this moment, and he failed to fulfill his duty. Killer Bee said, Yo, I don't want to see you die. Just like my two apprentices. Although Killer Bee speaks in rap form, it can be seen from the lyrics that Killer Bee is brooding over the deaths of Kaju and Oi. Yunjian didn't know what to say, so he had to hold his ninja sword in front of Killer Bee to protect him. Uchiha Xiao was hit, but instead of getting angry, he smiled. Very good, this is just enough to catch them all in one go, which saves me a lot of time to find. Just when Uchiha Xiao was about to launch an offensive, several blue lasers suddenly shot over. Land Done Laser Circus. Land Done is the blood inheritance boundary that combines water style and lightning style. Lightning style is extremely destructive, while water style is extremely controlling. The combination of the two can release the power of 1+1, which is greater than 2. Darui's laser circus technique is a ninjutsu that develops Land Done to the ultimate level. It first condenses a burst of visible water vapor, and then uses thunder and lightning to wrap the water vapor into several powerful lasers. Thunder and lightning go straight, but with the addition of water, the lightning can be bent at will. The Land Done laser fired at Uchiha Xiao at various angles with the laser shining. However, Uchiha Xiao was very calm. He was like a dancer, moving through the soft laser with gorgeous postures. Nani. Both Jonin and Killer Bee were very surprised. With this dodge speed, if you say Uchiha Xiao will launch a revolving heaven, in the next second, they will believe it. Darui's face was not calm. He thought Uchiha Xiao would use Susanoo. After all, even Killer Bee didn't dare to get close to this move. Songneng summoned 8 tails tentacles to block it. But this Uchiha Xiao evaded so calmly. Even though he has Sharingan's excellent observation ability, without top-notch dodge ability, it is impossible to avoid the laser attack. A Jonin formed a seal with his hands, and then slammed the ground. Lightning style square electric excitation. I saw 4 walls of water suddenly rising up around Uchiha Xiao. There were also bursts of shining electric light on the surface of the water wall. Once anyone touched it, it would definitely turn into fly ash. The height of the water wall should not be underestimated, because there is a strong current on the water wall, so you cannot use force to get out of the hole above, unless you can jump out of the hole in one breath. For ordinary ninjas, this seems to be a real prison, and it is difficult to escape. Good job. Darui showed a hint of excitement on his face, and then formed a seal with his hands. Lightning-style Black Panther. Darui's hands flashed with Black Thunder and Lightning. Black Thunder and Lightning is the unique skill of 3rd Raikage. Even his son 4th Raikage could not inherit it, so you can imagine how talented Darui is. This move, Black Panther, is also very powerful. It releases leopard-shaped black lightning from its body, which focuses on a single target and spreads around. It can make the opponent painful and unable to move. It can be controlled and hit, and it can still deal AoE damage. Who can withstand this? A huge Black Panther appeared, its whole body flashing with intense electric light, and it rushed directly into the Minister of Water Power. In an instant, thunder exploded in the water curtain, and there was a roar. Several people looked nervously into the water curtain. Although they couldn't see it, they were all hoping that this move would cause some harm to Uchiha Xiao. However, the next scene made them stop thinking about it. A wall of water suddenly began to deform and expand, and then a crimson skeleton emerged from the water curtain. The torrent and electric light hit Susanna's body, crackling with electric light. However, although these attacks are useful to the human body, to Susanna, they are no different from ordinary running water. Uchiha Xiao stood tall in Susanouchi and said, "You have all taken turns to attack, then it is my turn." Uchiha Xiao just wanted to see what kind of strength these peak ninjas from Cloud Shinobi Village could unleash, so that he could make some assessments of the Ninja World War in 3 months. Now it seems, well, there seems to be no problem with pushing flat all the way. Uchi 2.8 Bo Xiao stretched out his hands and said lightly, "Wanxiang Tian." Call out. After a strange noise, a huge suction force erupted in Uchiha Xiao's hands, and Darui and others were affected by this extremely strong suction force. Darui thrust his ninja sword into the ground and barely managed to stabilize his body. Several tentacles appeared on Killer Bee's body, adding another heavy king. However, Yunjian and another Jonin were not so lucky. They flew to Uchiha Xiao's side at extremely fast speeds. Snapped. The necks of the two fell firmly on Uchiha Xiao's hands. Uchiha Xiao held the two of them high. Hito's ability was activated, and the two of them were unable to use chakra for an instant. At this moment, Uchiha Xiao looked at Darui with a cruel smile on his face. No. Darui stretched out his hand and shouted. Gala. With a crisp sound, the two Jonin from Cloud Shinobi Village were easily crushed to death. Chapter 136. Killer Bee went berserk. Please subscribe. Uchiha Xiao threw his hands away, as if he had thrown away 2 dead cats. The 2 corpses had their eyes wide open and could not close their eyes for a long time. Darui immediately flew in front of Killer Bee and shouted, "Killer Bee, leave quickly. The enemy's strength is too weird." That sudden suction attack was so weird that Uchiha Xiao didn't even form a seal. However, Killer Bee looked at Uchiha Xiao and gave a different opinion. With me, Killer Bee, don't worry plus watch me avenge my companions. Just when Killer Bee was about to use his strength, he saw Uchiha Xiao starting to form hand seals. Darui and Killer Bee didn't have a Sharingan, so they couldn't see Uchiha Xiao's seals clearly. The seal was completed, and the huge Susan made a gesture. Fire-style Long Yan sings. Susanna's devilish face opened its mouth, and fire dragons spurted out from the mouth. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Like missiles, the fire dragons flew towards Killer Bee and Darui. Naturally, it was impossible for the two to resist. They ran forward. The two were dissatisfied with their speed, but the flames still clung tightly behind them. However, at this moment, a larger and more violent fireball appeared behind them, and both of them turned around and their expressions changed. In this case, I'm afraid there's no way to retreat. Darui paused quickly with his feet, then twisted his body and faced the fireball. Darui. Killer Bee shouted. Darui shouted to Killer Bee while forming a seal with his hands, "Go quickly." After saying that, his hands formed a water-style seal. Water-style water barrier. Darui sprayed out a large amount of water, and the water formed a straight wall on the ground. Bah! There was a sound of evaporation, because the fireball was so fierce that it also drove the surrounding wind, and the wind blew the hot water vapor to Malui's side. Ah! Darui's skin began to burn, fall off, and ulcerate, eventually revealing red flesh. Such pain would make even the bravest man scream. In the end, Darui fell to the ground, and the severe pain made him almost faint. Killer Bee also knew not to act like a hero. The moment Darui released water style, Killer Bee flew towards the denser woods. Feeling Killer Bee's chakra, Uchiha Xiao flew over and didn't even look at Darui, who was seriously injured on the ground, which allowed Darui to survive temporarily. Bye. He's coming. Eight-Tails Gyuki's voice sounded in Killer Bee's heart. Killer Bee immediately turned around and saw an afterimage approaching at an extremely fast speed. So fast. Killer Bee, who was used to Ai's speed, couldn't help but admire Uchiha Xiao's speed. Since you can't escape, then fight with all your strength. Desolate Heron slashes the knife. I saw 7 knives appearing on Killer Bee's body. Not only was he holding it with both hands, Killer Bee also flexibly used physical skills and various parts of his body to manipulate the knives. Uchiha Xiao raised his eyebrows, holding the black stick in both hands to kill Killer Bee. Jingle bells. The sound of gold and iron resounded through the woods, sparks continued to fly, and the black rod and 7 knives turned into afterimages, intertwined and separated. It has to be said that Killer Bee's physical skills are pretty good, and coupled with the tailed beast's unique bonus, the fight was instantly incomprehensible. In the eyes of others, this, 7-sword style, is very troublesome. Not only is it difficult to defend, but because it is like a hedgehog, it is difficult to even attack. The swordsmanship of the 7-swordsman style is certainly powerful, but because of the excessive number of swords, flaws will inevitably be revealed under the complex and cumbersome changes in the moves. And Sharingan can see through this flaw. Bah! Amidst bursts of sword light, a black rod was accurately inserted into Killer Bee's body. Killer Bee didn't really care at first, but he soon discovered that these black rods had the ability to interfere with people's chakra. Killer Bee quickly took a few steps back and pulled out the black stick. However, Uchiha Xiao would not let go of this opportunity. He moved and teleported in front of Killer Bee. Boom! With a punch of divine power, Killer Bee's sunglasses were shattered and his whole body fell to the ground. Uchiha Xiao walked forward with the black stick, and at this moment, the chakra on Killer Bee began to change. Your fist is so heavy, it hurts me so much. Killer Bee muttered incomprehensible rap phrases, and a bright red chakra coat began to appear on his body. Killer Bee stood up, stretched his arms outside his body, and aimed at Uchiha Xiao. Finally, I have some momentum. Uchiha Xiao said. Lariat. Killer Bee rushed towards Uchiha Xiao so fast that it even stirred up a whirlwind on the spot. Facing this powerful blow, Uchiha Xiao was not at all frightened. He faced Killer Bee. A burst of red light appeared in his fist, and then 10 pieces of Kudai's dense white bones covered the front of Guangzhou. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. A ring-shaped shock wave surged out, and in an instant, the ground cracked, and the shock wave blew Uchiha Xiao's hair into chaos. However, at this moment, the chakra on Killer Bee continued to change, and a black and red chakra quickly enveloped Killer Bee. It turned into a half-tailed beast so quickly. I can only say that it was a perfect Jinchuriki, and even Uchiha Xiao made a sound of admiration. The black and red chakra enveloped Killer Bee's entire body, and some of it even tried to erode Uchiha Xiao. Shinra Tenzhang. A strong repulsive force was released, and Killer Bee took a few steps back, but he soon stopped, then jumped up high, aiming the hard white bones of his elbows at Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao was very fast and dodged the violent elbow attack in one go. Big man, this is not enough. Uchiha Xiao taunted, and then he summoned the second form of Susanoo, and pulled out the 747, Onikiri, from his waist. Uchiha Xiao controlled Susanoo and raised the Onikiri high. Boom! Onikiri hit the ground, and Killer Bee's figure escaped instantly. However, at this moment, a sword energy suddenly appeared out of thin air and scraped hard at Killer Bee. This sword strike was so sudden, and coupled with its considerable speed, it struck Killer Bee in one fell swoop. Roar! Killer Bee roared, and then the tailed beast chakra on his body became strong again. Soon, a white exoskeleton appeared on Killer Bee's body. 7 tails, Uchiha Xiao murmured. However, the chakra on Killer Bee did not stop, and its momentum gradually increased. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Several thick tentacles appeared quickly, and then a ferocious huge head appeared from the tentacles. Seeing the familiar bull head, Uchiha Xiao couldn't help but sigh. Gyuki, long time no see. Roar. Gyuki let out a roar, which contained a bit of anger and a bit of fear. For an ordinary person, his internal organs would probably be shattered by this roar, but Uchiha Xiao closed his eyes and showed an expression of enjoyment. You're still so full of energy, Gyuki, so. As he spoke, Uchiha Xiao opened his eyes, and the purple Rinnegan glowed with a strange light. Are you ready to surrender again? Chapter 137. 8 Tails obtained, Jiraiya invades. Please subscribe. Boom. 8 Tails Gyuki has 5 Rashomon gates inserted into its body, several tentacles of 8 Tails are scattered on the ground, and its bullhead is even lying on the ground, which looks very miserable. Uchiha Xiao stood in front of the giant face of 8 Tails. Are you convinced? 8 Tails did not answer Uchiha Xiao, but wanted to continue to gather chakra in his body. Uchiha Xiao snorted. Stubborn. As he said that, he raised his hand and saw dozens of black sticks floating behind him. 8 Tails is also quite afraid of these black rods. These black rods can inhibit and disrupt chakra, which is very restrained for Jinchuriki. 8 Tails wanted to avoid it, but due to its huge size and serious injuries, it was impossible to avoid it. Dozens of black rods streaked across the sky and were inserted into 8 Tails' body without missing a beat. Bah, bah, bah. 8 Tails let out a wail, and it shouted, "Bee." However, Killer Bee's consciousness seemed to be blurred, and he could not respond to 8 Tails. Xiao. With 8 Tails' last roar, 8 Tails' figure immediately dissipated, and the magnificent chakra that filled the sky instantly dissipated, leaving only a figure lying alone in the place where 8 Tails dissipated. Uchiha Xiao cast his awareness and saw Killer Bee lying on the ground. The chakra on his body was already very weak. He walked over slowly, just as he was about to get close to Killer Bee's body. A blue light appeared on Killer Bee's hand. Thunder pen. Uchiha Xiao tilted his head, and a pencil filled with electric light controlled his head and flew away. Uchiha Xiao's eyes looked to the side, and a strand of his hair was slowly falling. It's a good counterattack. It's a perfect Jinchuriki. Uchiha Xiao expressed his admiration for Killer Bee's counterattack. Killer Bee couldn't reply, because the blow just now was the one he tried his best to hit, and he had completely fainted at this time. Uchiha Xiao slapped the floor and summoned the Gedo statue. The purple chakra dragon holds up Killer Bee and greedily absorbs the Eight Tails chakra. You guy. A roar made Uchiha Xiao look sideways, and saw that the person who came was the seriously injured Darui. At this time, he staggered over, and the black electromagnetic pattern on his body was sluggish. Black, Madara, bad. Darui was sweating, and the thunder and lightning in his hand began to become stronger. A leopard made of chakra attacked Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao raised his hand and injected wind-style chakra into it. Snapped. The image of the Black Panther disappeared in an instant, and black thunder and lightning dispersed in the air. This ninjutsu that Darui was proud of was just shot away by Uchiha Xiao. Darui lowered his head. He failed to protect Killer Bee. His strong sense of responsibility made him want to die. He raised his ninja sword tremblingly, and then charged towards Uchiha Xiao. Bah! The black rod was inserted into his chest. Darui spat out a mouthful of blood, then he fell to the ground and died. Uchiha Xiao continued to wait for Gedo statue to absorb the chakra. Soon, Eight Tails chakra had been absorbed. Summoning the Gedo statue back, Uchiha Xiao left Turtle Island in an instant. Shortly after Uchiha Xiao left, the ninjas from Cloud Shinobi Village happened to come over to meet Darui and the others. However, when they arrived at Turtle Island, all they saw were the bodies of Darui and Killer Bee. Boom! Ai's body erupted with a strong momentum, and the entire Reikage office was instantly filled with cracks. However, the ninjas present were not exaggerated by Ai's performance. Instead, they thought that if they were Reikage, they would be even more furious. Killer Bee is not only the Jinchuriki and pillar of Cloud Shinobi Village, but also Reikage Ai's adoptive brother. Although they are adopted brothers, the two of them are no different from real brothers. Whether from a personal or family perspective, Ai's anger is very reasonable. The news of Eight Tails' arrest quickly spread throughout the ninja village, and all the cage were confused. Didn't you Cloud Shinobi swear that no one knew where Eight Tails was hiding? How come it has only been 3 days? Eight Tails was immediately arrested. This news caused an uproar in the entire ninja world, and the initiator of the incident was walking back to the base with leisurely steps. Sasuke saw Uchiha Xiao coming back and said excitedly, "Xiao, have you captured Eight Tails?" Uchiha Xiao looked at Sasuke. Sasuke immediately said, "Can 10 tails be synthesized?" Uchiha Xiao said, "No, I only captured half of 9 tails chakra, and it is still on Naruto's body." When Sasuke heard this, he was immediately disappointed. It seemed that in the entire ninja world, he was the person most eager to increase his power. Quack. Outside the base, a confused frog jumped into the barrier set by Uchiha Xiao, but the barrier showed no response. The frog seemed to be just an ordinary frog. However, at this moment, the frog suddenly opened its mouth, and then the frog's belly squirmed, and a human hand stretched out from the frog's mouth. Soon, a complete man came out of the frog's mouth, fell to the ground, nodded to the frog, and the frog immediately dissipated into a burst of white smoke. After bidding farewell to the frog, Jiraiya gathered his chakra and breath and sneaked into Uchiha Xiao's base. Soon, Jiraiya found an entrance. Looking around, he saw a row of stairs going down, which seemed to be a basement or something. Jiraiya cautiously walked in. There seemed to be a larger space in front of him. Jiraiya took off the forehead protector with the word, oil, on his forehead and used the mirror principle to explore the basement. Shizune. Jiraiya looked shocked. He saw Shizune sitting lonely on the ground from his forehead protector. He immediately walked out, and after sensing that there were no traps around him, he walked quickly towards Shizune. Jiraiya-sama. Shizune's eyes filled with tears, showing an expression of surprise. Jiraiya took a look at Shizune and found that Shizune had no external injuries except that he had lost a little weight. He also had a chakra seal on his body. After the seal was lifted, Shizune began to cry anxiously to Jiraiya, "Jiraiya-sama. Also, Tsunade-sama is trapped here." Jiraiya had a look of understanding on his face, but wasn't quite sure yet, and then asked Shizune to continue. Shizune revealed that she and Tsunade were both kidnapped at the same time, and Uchiha Xiao used Shizune as a threat to force Tsunade to conduct various experiments. As he spoke, Shizune soon burst into tears. "It's all because of me. If I died, Tsunade-sama, the king, wouldn't have so much infamy." Shizune was in tears, and Jiraiya had no choice but to pat her shoulder to express comfort, and at the same time, his heart became alive. Tsunade. She was really forced. Not some woman who became Uchiha Xiao. Jiraiya felt a little excited. "Okay. Just take her back with you. Shizune, please leave first." With that said, Jiraiya summoning produced a toad. You get into this toad's mouth, so you don't have to worry about the consequences of touching the outside. Jiraiya continued. Shizune looked at Jiraiya with some hesitation on his face and said, well, Tsunade-sama. Jiraiya waved his hand. Don't worry. I will bring her back to the village safely. Since Uchiha Xiao used Shizune as a threat to let Tsunade stay here, as long as he lets Tsunade know that Shizune has escaped, Tsunade can naturally leave with him. Jiraiya clapped his hands and smiled. Tsunade, here I come. Chapter 138. Tsunade. Sorry, I am Xiao's person. Please subscribe. However, Jiraiya thought his actions were perfect, and some animals had already seen everything he did. Uchiha Xiao had already set up summoning beasts like surveillance in and around the base. Soon, the summoning beasts reported to Uchiha Xiao. Master Xiao, Jiraiya sneaked into the bottom floor and released Shizune. Then Shizune has escaped from the base. Uchiha Xiao was slightly surprised when he heard this. Jiraiya was indeed a good expert in detecting intelligence. Ordinary ninjas would have been sensed by Uchiha Xiao before they even entered the base. And this Jiraiya seems to have a special way of evading perception and barriers. Although it was interesting, it ended there. He also knew Jiraiya's strength, so he was not interested. On the contrary, Uchiha Xiao looked at Tsunade, and sure enough, Tsunade showed a shocked expression. Tsunade clenched his fists and dug his long nails into the flesh of his palms. Jiraiya. You still won't give up. Summoningmon said at this time. Then shall we capture Shizune? Sasuke didn't seem to mind the matter and said, then let's catch him. Tsunade glanced at Sasuke, and Sasuke stared back. At this time, Uchiha Xiao said. No, it doesn't matter, just let her go. Tsunade and Sasuke looked at Uchiha Xiao. They had been with Uchiha Xiao for so long, and they all knew Uchiha Xiao's character. If he said it doesn't matter, then it really doesn't matter. As long as Uchiha Xiao doesn't care, who cares about the flood? Uchiha Xiao's expression was very indifferent. Shizune was not an enemy of him, and he didn't care about Shizune's life or death. Moreover, the purpose of catching Shizune in the first place was to blackmail Tsunade into completing the experiment. Now that everything is done, Shizune naturally has no value. Tsunade breathed a sigh of relief at this time. She had thought that Uchiha Xiao would deal with Shizune afterwards. If that was the case. There was a hint of coldness in Tsunade's eyes. Then even if she couldn't defeat Uchiha Xiao, she would fight to the death with him. Sasuke's eyes were fixed on Tsunade. He knew that the reason why Tsunade did experiments for Uchiha Xiao in the first place was because Shizune was blackmailed. Resurrecting his relatives was actually secondary. And now that Shizune has escaped, the granddaughter of the first Hokage has a very high chance of jumping back. Sasuke is actually very loyal to Uchiha Xiao, because he has indeed gained strength from Uchiha Xiao time and time again, and Uchiha Xiao also promised him to let him become Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Under such circumstances, Sasuke couldn't help but have a bit of fanaticism. After realizing that Tsunade had the risk of rebound, he immediately became wary of Tsunade. Uchiha Xiao looked at Tsunade. You can leave, at least you are no longer of any use to me. If it were Tsunade from before, he would have turned around and left without hesitation. Tsunade didn't speak. She stared at the ground, wondering what she was thinking. At this moment, a powerful aura was approaching quickly. Uchiha Xiao said calmly, it's finally here. Soon, Jiraiya, who had entered sage mode, ran over. Tsunade. Jiraiya shouted excitedly, and at this time, he also saw Uchiha Xiao next to Tsunade, and Jiraiya had to stop. While Jiraiya was wary of Uchiha Xiao, he stretched out his hand and said to Tsunade, Tsunade. Shizune has escaped. You can follow me without any worries. Without looking into Jiraiya's eyes, Tsunade said, thank you for rescuing Shizune, Jiraiya. Although Tsunade was thanking him, Jiraiya could tell something was wrong from his tone. Stiff and raw, Jiraiya looked at Tsunade suspiciously, but found that Tsunade showed no signs of being affected by the illusion. Uchiha Xiao didn't take action or even speak, but watched this scene with interest. Seeing Uchiha Xiao's expression, Sasuke knew not to take action yet, and then put his hands in his pockets to watch the show. Tsunade. Hurry up. However, Tsunade did not respond for a long time. She lowered her head and covered her eyes with her hanging hair, making it impossible to see what she was thinking. Jiraiya started quickly, jumped in front of Uchiha Xiao, and shouted, Tsunade. I'll help you block him, you hurry up. As he spoke, Jiraiya clenched his fist, and magic gathered in his fist. Uchiha Xiao did not move, but turned his attention to Tsunade. Sasuke also looked at Tsunade. He wanted to see Tsunade's reaction, but the next scene shocked even Sasuke. Boom. Tsunade waved his white fist and smashed it into Jiraiya's body. Because he had no defense against Tsunade, Jiraiya was directly knocked away by this punch. Of course, Tsunade withdrew some of his strength from this punch. Jiraiya rolled off the ground twice, then quickly stood up. Tsunade. Jiraiya couldn't believe it. He was convinced that Tsunade was not hit by a genjutsu, but actually hit him on his own initiative. Why? Jiraiya asked in disbelief, with a rare look of pain on his face. Maybe he was afraid of seeing Jiraiya's expression, so Tsunade never looked at Jiraiya. After a long time, Tsunade finally turned to Jiraiya. She stared into Jiraiya's eyes and said, "I'm sorry, Jiraiya, but I made my position clear 3 days ago. I am Uchiha Leon's subordinates." Jiraiya glared at Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao. What kind of ecstasy soup did you pour into Tsunade? Uchiha Xiao spread her hands. This is just her choice, I gave her the freedom to choose. Listening to Uchiha Xiao's words, Jiraiya was so shocked that he couldn't calm down for a long time. He looked into Tsunade's eyes and said, "Have you forgotten your grandfather's will of fire? Have you forgotten Mr. Sarutobi's teachings? Have you forgotten our decades of fighting side by side?" Following Jiraiya's words, memories of the past came to Tsunade's mind. Go with Jiraiya and Orochimaru to grab the bell, but Jiraiya is tied to a stake. Jiraiya spied on her taking a hot spring bath, and she punched Jiraiya into the hospital. During the Second Ninja War, they fought Hanzo from Rain Shinobi Village and finally won the title of Sanin. Soon, Nawaki and Suan's smiles appeared in Tsunade's mind, as well as the hostile looks that people on the battlefield looked at her 3 days ago. All the images were intertwined in her mind. Soon, Tsunade's eyes showed a trace of struggle. Jiraiya looked at this scene with a glimmer of light in his eyes. He hoped that Tsunade could change his ways. Tsunade bit her red lips tightly. For a long time, a word came out of Tsunade's throat. "Jiraiya, I'm sorry." Bang! Jiraiya slammed his hand on the floor angrily, and with a punch full of magic, the earth cracked. Tsunade turned his body sideways and didn't dare to look any further, while Sasuke took out his kunai and prepared for battle. Jiraiya looked at Uchiha Xiao with angry eyes. Just when Tsunade and Sasuke thought Jiraiya was going to rush forward desperately, Jiraiya was like a flying bird, his body falling backward quickly. Sasuke's pupils opened wide. This guy wants to run away. Chapter 139. Jiraiya goes all out. Please subscribe. At this time, Uchiha Xiao finally spoke. "I never said I would let you go." Saying that, Uchiha Xiao stretched out his hand and pointed it at Jiraiya. Universal pull. A strong attraction appeared on Uchiha Xiao. Jiraiya in midair only felt that there was an invisible rope tying him up, and then quickly pulled him towards Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao shook his sleeves, and a black stick appeared in his hand. And Jiraiya was not idle on the way to being sucked, he gathered the magic chakra in his hand. Frog kumite. Dang. There was a crisp sound, and the black stick in Uchiha Xiao's hand cracked instantly, and Jiraiya's fist was scratched by the fragments of the black stick. Jiraiya's legs flashed and his body quickly retreated. At the same time, his hands continued to form seals. Fire-style big fire bomb. Jiraiya spits out a huge fireball. With the blessing of magic, the fireball becomes even more powerful in size and power. Even Sasuke was horrified by Jiraiya's fire style. Its scale and power were more than 10 times his. Uchiha Xiao simply made a few seals, and then opened his mouth and spit out flames. Fire-style Haolong fire technique. A huge fire dragon galloped away and hit Jiraiya's big fire bomb. In an instant, firelight shone, violent explosions resounded through the base, and countless sparks splashed towards Uchiha Xiao and the others. Sasuke was surprised. He retreated to a relatively far place as soon as the battle started, but in this place, the temperature generated by the collision of the two flames still made Sasuke's face hot. The explosion of the flame produced thick black smoke. Uchiha Xiao looked at the smoke screen without moving. At this moment, the smoke screen suddenly deformed rapidly, and then the smoke screen was torn open by Uzumaki, and a blue chakra ball came first. Appear. Rasengan. The tiny chakra ball packs a huge punch. Uchiha Xiao also stretched out his hand, and a black thunder and lightning appeared in his hand, which he had learned from Darui before. Lightning-style Black Panther. Darui only used this ninjutsu twice on Uchiha Xiao, but Uchiha Xiao still mastered it quickly. It must be said that Uchiha Xiao's talent is very terrifying. A burly black leopard appeared, with black electric light all over its body. Just looking at it was terrifying. The Rasengan directly collided with Jiraiya, and the Rasengan quickly dissipated, but the remaining power of Black Panther was not over yet. Crack. Black Panther exploded directly, and the black lightning eroded Jiraiya's body. Jiraiya's whole body was painful and numb, and he lost his ability to fight in a short time. At this time, Uchiha Xiao appeared in front of Jiraiya. Boom. This kick contained divine power and directly kicked Jiraiya away. Jiraiya's figure directly smashed a load-bearing wall of the base. Puff. Jiraiya vomited blood and suffered both external and internal injuries. Tsunade could barely watch at first, but when he saw this scene, he immediately cut his head for medical treatment. However, with the help of Sage Mode, Jiraiya quickly regained his fighting ability. Uchiha Xiao turned around and looked at Sasuke. Look, I will only demonstrate once, what is the real Susanoo. As he spoke, Uchiha Xiao's eyes glowed red, and the red giant quickly rose up. Sasuke's eyes lit up. It's the full form of Susanoo. Tsunade looked at this scene in a daze, she had never seen Uchiha Xiao use full Susanoo. Susanoo slowly grew taller, and Sasuke's inner fear grew higher and higher. Although Sasuke could also use the full form of Susanoo, it was only about 100 meters tall, while Uchiha Xiao's full form could reach a height of nearly 200 meters. 200 meters tall, it's no exaggeration to say it towers into the clouds. Compared to Sasuke's shock, Jiraiya showed fear. He had never thought of a direct conflict with Uchiha Xiao. After all, Uchiha Xiao's strength was obvious to all. Before Uchiha Xiao was resurrected, he could only run away. Now that Uchiha Xiao has strength far beyond the peak of his previous life, he naturally dares not to touch the bad luck. Uchiha Xiao controlled Susanna, who held the scabbard with one hand and the handle with the other hand. Soon, a strong airflow converged towards the blade. The next second, when the onikiri was about to be pulled out, a burst of red light burst out from the knife. Onikiri is born. The red sword light suddenly appeared, and for a moment, the sun and the moon were eclipsed. The surrounding birds and beasts were frightened by the sharp sword light and fled one after another. No matter how many times he saw this scene, Jiraiya's inner fear was unstoppable. His hands were shaking, and he was not sure whether he could block the blow. Sasuke was also trembling all over, a little excited, a little afraid, and a little eager. Please give me flowers, Sasuke murmured in his mouth. This is the power of God. Tsunade looked at Susanna, feeling like a mess in her heart. Maybe she was with the wrong person. With such power, she might really be able to rule the ninja world, but, when she thought about the possible destruction of the village she had lived in for many years. Susanoo raised the onikiri in her hand high. Damn. Jiraiya bit his lip and forced himself to wake up from fear. He formed a seal with his hands and then slammed the ground. Earth-style castle wall. A tall and thick wall rises from the ground. This tall earth wall can withstand 20 fire styles without any problem. But under the majestic power of the sword light, the earthen wall seemed a bit like a mantis using its arms as a chariot. Later, Jiraiya hardened his hair and wrapped it tightly around his body. Ninja technique. Needle Jizo. In fact, if he really wanted to defend himself, Jiraiya could summon the toad on Mount Myoboku, but Bunta's death made Jiraiya feel guilty. He didn't want to lose 10 more Toadhand brothers. So Jiraiya chose to bear this exaggerated blow alone. Swish. Bang. Susanna raised his sword and swung it hard, and a harsh roar sounded. Jiraiya knew that this was the air explosion sound of ultimate power and speed. Before the onikiri could be chopped down, a cloud of wind and dust had already stirred up on the ground, and for a while, sand and rocks were flying, and smoke and dust were everywhere. Soon, the red sword blade struck the ground. Boom. In an instant, the earth let out a miserable wail, and the cut-off river spurted out like the blood of the earth. The forest in front of them quickly opened up a huge avenue, and a ferocious and huge sword mark was cut on the ground. Onikiri had violent friction with the earth, and a flame quickly rose, and the flame stretched for thousands of meters along the sword mark. Sasuke stood high up, watching dreamily. The flame that stretches along the sword mark is like a huge fire snake. How beautiful and fascinating. The destruction of this violent sword did not stop there. It also brought about a strong chain reaction, with landslides, ground collapse, and fire spreading across the entire forest. Susan held the onikiri high, and this sword created hell. Susanoo stood in the sea of fire. The firelight illuminated the red Susanoo with an indescribable majesty. Chapter 140. The end of the heroic story. Please subscribe. Tsunade seemed to have lost all his strength, half kneeling on the ground, tears streaming from his eyes. Jiraiya is so small and insignificant in this apocalyptic scene. Have they all been cut off? I'm sorry, Jiraiya. Although Tsunade was heartbroken, he felt relaxed and happy in his heart at the same time. The bond between her and the village was finally severed. Uchiha Xiao untied Susanoo and fell to the ground from high altitude. At the same time, Tsunade and Sasuke quickly came to him. Sasuke looked at the purgatory-like scene around him, his excited expression never stopped, and the hairs on his body were still standing upside down. Xiao, this sword is really too powerful. Sasuke was even a little incoherent. It was clearly Susan, but why was it so different? Tsunade couldn't bear the shock in her heart. She had participated in the Second Ninja War, and none of the scenes on the battlefields in that great were as tragic and on this scale. Uchiha Xiao's expression was very indifferent. He clapped his hands as if he had just swatted a mosquito to death. Just when he was about to end his sigh, his ears suddenly moved. Uchiha Xiao immediately turned his head and looked in one direction. Wow! Among the broken mountains and collapsed earth, an arm struggled to push away the stone blocking the top. What appeared next was Jiraiya's rather stooped figure. He struggled to crawl out of the ruins. His whole body was covered in dust, and nearly half of his long white hair was dyed red. Jiraiya. Tsunade was surprised, a trace of happiness flashed in his eyes, but also a trace of loneliness. Uchiha Xiao said in surprise, "Aren't you still dead after this? Then let's play with you again." Jiraiya narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at Uchiha Xiao. The sword just made him feel a little afraid, but now he was more determined. He couldn't let Uchiha Xiao hurt the village. Jiraiya snorted coldly. It's a pity, see you next time. Uchiha Xiao. As he said that, Jiraiya endured the pain in his hands and formed a seal. Reverse summoning technique. 1 second passed, 2 seconds passed, and there was no response from Jiraiya's technique. He slowly raised his head to look at Uchiha Xiao, and forced a smile. You are really awesome at what you do. There is no doubt that Uchiha Xiao has used a barrier to isolate this place from the outside world. Not only can he not use the reverse summoning technique, he can't even summon toads to fight. Uchiha Xiao replied calmly. A lion binds a rabbit with all his strength. Uchiha Xiao had no intention of letting Jiraiya escape, cutting off all Jiraiya's escape routes. Shizune was able to run because Shizune was not his enemy, but Jiraiya was different. He was present in several battles and was very powerful. Sasuke observed the surroundings. He didn't even know when Uchiha Xiao had set up the barrier. Tsunade looked at Jiraiya and then at Uchiha Xiao. Her lips trembled a few times. After all, she couldn't let go of the bondage of the past. She opened her mouth and was about to say something. Snapped. Uchiha Xiao hit Tsunade on the neck with a knife. Tsunade rolled his eyes and fainted. When Uchiha Xiao looked forward again, Jiraiya's figure disappeared. Uchiha Xiao locked his eyes in the air and saw a huge chakra ball in the air. Big Ball Rasengan. Jiraiya jumped high and aimed the Big Ball Rasengan at Uchiha Xiao. Uchiha Xiao calmly stretched out his arm, and an inexplicable suction force appeared in his palm, and Jiraiya's Big Ball Rasengan disappeared directly. Jiraiya didn't show any surprise. The two clogs under his feet slapped each other. In the next breath, his hair began to grow rapidly, tying up Uchiha Xiao's body. Chaos Lion Hair Technique. Got you. Jiraiya yelled, and then he poured his remaining senjutsu into his fist. Jiraiya manipulated his hair to bring Uchiha Xiao closer to him, and then Jiraiya raised his fist. Sage Art Frog Kumite. Jiraiya swung his arm back, gathered strength into his fist, and then extended it towards Uchiha's face. The power of this taijutsu is very impressive. In the comics, Naruto relied on this punch to destroy a Pain 6 paths. However, Jiraiya's fist stopped on Uchiha Xiao's face. It was not that Jiraiya stopped intentionally. Instead, Jiraiya increased his strength, but could not get any closer to Uchiha Xiao. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead, and he found that his fist could no longer make any progress. There was a repulsive force that prevented him from attacking. Shinra Tenzhang. Uchiha Xiao said slowly. At such a close distance, Shinra Tianzheng's strength is very great. Jiraiya's expression changed. He looked at his belly and saw that his clothes had been dented by an invisible force. The next second. Boom. The power of Shinra Tensei exploded in Jiraiya's stomach. Poof. Jiraiya spat out a mouthful of blood, and then his whole body flew out like a cannonball. The blood was sprinkled on Uchiha Xiao's face, but Uchiha Xiao remained unmoved and did not even blink. Originally Susanna's sword had already seriously injured Jiraiya, but now another Shinra Tensei hit Jiraiya in the stomach, making Jiraiya's injuries even worse. Jiraiya lay on the ground. He touched his ribs and internal organs, and then felt a sharp pain. Jiraiya forced out a smile and said rather self-deprecatingly, "Heh, heh, it's so simple." He now felt that the vitality in his body was passing away rapidly, and he understood that his end was approaching. Uchiha Xiao looked at Jiraiya and walked over. Jiraiya looked at Uchiha Xiao, then ignored him. Instead, he turned his body around with difficulty and looked at Tsunade lying on the ground. Looking at Tsunade's exquisite facial features, Orochimaru appeared in his mind, and then he remembered them grabbing Sarutobi's teacher's bell together, and then Namikaze Minato's appearance slowly appeared again, and finally, Minato's appearance changed again. Jiraiya wanted to close his eyes, but then, he saw something. His eyes suddenly opened wide, and then a gentle smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Naruto. He seemed to see Naruto's smiling face that would never shed tears. Naruto was giving him a thumbs up and smiling brightly. Uchiha Xiao walked to Jiraiya. At this time, Jiraiya had expired. 3.0. Uchiha Xiao squatted down and looked at Jiraiya's still shiny eyes and the smile on the corner of his mouth. After a long time, he uttered a very heartfelt sentence, "Will you die with a smile? I have to say, I envy your death." In his last life, he died under the siege of the Ninja Coalition. Even though this was very heroic and powerful, it made the world change their minds when they heard about it. But that way of death also confirmed Uchiha Xiao's loneliness. He has no relatives, no friends, and no followers. He is just alone, facing the attack of the Ninja Coalition and saying, "Although there are tens of thousands of people, I am going." If possible, Uchiha Xiao would rather stay in a deep forest, a mountain village, or even Konoha village, and spend the rest of her life there with her sister. Uchiha Xiao brushed Jiraiya's eyes with her hand and helped Jiraiya close her eyes. "Jiraiya, although you are an enemy, your sense of responsibility is worthy of appreciation.